Happy Monday. Welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN. We're at 7 o'clock in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley is here. Super Bowl champ Kerry Davis is here. I'm Randy Carricker. Matthew Rocchio is in the house. The sun is shining right in his eyes. Good morning, kids. How was the weekend?
Oh, it was wonderful.
It was a great weekend. What a
great weekend.
Yeah.
Rested. I didn't have any football this weekend, Randy. I was just kind of...
And how did you like that, Kerry? Mixed feelings?
It has its pros and cons.
Good. Yeah, a little mixed
I got
emotion.
a little frustrated watching some football, just thinking about what could have been, what should have been. But at the end of the day, I did get to rest, so, you know.
Did you pay attention to any high school games?
Hell no. I had no desire to. Didn't care. I was really hoping everybody tied, and it just kind of went through chaos.
Yeah. We got a lot coming your way. Obviously, this is the most dominant sports town in America at the moment, with the Blues just rolling the Avalanche. How about your Missouri Tigers? M-I-Z. There you go.
Played really well.
They trampled Tennessee. We're going to talk a lot about that today. There's also some Cardinals stuff that we need to get to during the course of the show. And how'd you like to be paid $76 million to not do your job anymore?
Hey.
Count me in. Count me in. Up. Jimbo Fisher. Woo.
You don't want me here?
Isn't it?
No, okay. It's been real.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I'll leave.
And
after a win.
Yeah, and no offset language. So he can go anywhere. He can come to Mizzou and be the offensive coordinator at Mizzou, and he'd still get every single penny that's in his contract from Texas A&M.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do anything to protect themselves in that contract of any possibility that this wouldn't have worked out?
It's amazing. Well, they gave him an extension. Yeah. 4 years in. Was it 3 years in? They hired him in 17.
I thought it was 2 years.
So they hired him in 17 and gave him the extension in 21 after they finished fourth in the country. Unbelievable. But good for Jimbo Fisher. You can watch us on our Air Alliance team studio cam. You can watch us on the phone as you're driving to work.
No. Don't watch us on the phone while you're driving.
Oh, okay.
Listen to us on the radio.
Yeah, but
on your
got
phone.
YouTube on their phone.
Yeah, but you don't want people to drive and be looking down at their phone.
Good point.
Don't do
watching.
that.
Okay, Air Alliance team studio cam, however, is available once you get to work by just searching 101 ESPN STL on your YouTube. And you can hear everything that we do on our podcast, brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers after every single show.
Just real quick, did you guys see what happened with Texas A&M at halftime? They presented a $160 million donation, so they're big boosters. So they basically, it was like presenting at halftime, we're going to use this money towards firing Jimbo Fisher. He had no idea, but supposedly they made that decision earlier in the week.
Yeah.
Whether it was a win or loss, they were going to do that. That's crazy that you also present a check that's like $160 million. What could this be used towards?
Half of this is going. We know where half of this is going to.
Yeah. And their AD, by the way, was an assistant to Mike Alden at Mizzou, Ross Bjork. Good guy.
He was adamant about his stance and his expectations for that program. It is not to be in a bowl game. We are and were expecting to be one of the top teams in the country, and that is the standard and that is the expectation. My question would be, is Texas A&M, there are some programs around the country that are that's just not their...
They have no self-awareness.
That's just not their spot in life. Yeah. That's not where they'll ever be. You may have a year or two where you're able to have that success, but is it able to be sustained over years?
CD, last championship, 1939.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
We expect to win championships every year.
How?
1939.
But you fire this man after a 51-point outing, 51-10, and you say, it doesn't matter. We're done.
And by the way, the other least self-aware team, and you're quite aware of them, is Arkansas, right? They're going to fire Sam Pittman. He was ascending there. They get guys, and the guys have one bad season, and they get rid of them rather than trying to actually build a program.
The frustrations, it's been interesting because I still follow a little bit of everything that's going on with the Razorbacks, and the frustrations are mounting, and I don't think that they are aware whatsoever. I was there for the Brett Bielema firing, and I'm sure a lot of Mizzou fans remember that too because of the way it played out. You lose to Mizzou, Arkansas did, and then they fired him on the field, but then they said they didn't really fire him on the field, and they let him do a press conference afterwards. And one thing he said that always stuck out to me is that they expect a quick turnaround, that it's a microwave society. You don't get much time, but then again, that's the way that it is with college coaching now.
People wanted to fire Gary Pinkel in his fourth year. 01, 02, 03, they ascend. 04, they have a bad year. People wanted to fire him. Alden stuck with him, and he became Gary Pinkel. Your St. Louis Blues are hot, hot, hot. On Saturday night, they beat Stan Kroenke's Colorado Avalanche by a score of 8-2. They embarrassed the Avalanche, and it was pretty awesome. Just a minute 8 into the game, the Blues scored the first goal.
Kyrou turning it over, trying to clear it out. Then he works his way to get back onto it, and he took it away from Riley Tufte. Cuts to the middle of the ice, slowed down there by the Avs defense, and the puck comes straight away to the blue line. Krug with a shot. He scores! That puck deflected in front and found its way in. And the St. Louis Blues, I believe Shen might have had a tip on it.
Good eye, Kerbs. It was Braden Shen, his third of the year. He scored again at the 18:53 mark. Torrey Krug scoring with 2 seconds left in the period. 3-0 Blues after a period. In the second period, Blues are shorthanded. And you know how bad the Blues special teams have been this year. Well, a goal was scored with the Blues shorthanded.
And the Avs nearly get the puck back. Parayko there to break it out. And it's shorthanded up ice with Sundqvist. Buchnevich to the net. Sundqvist to Buchnevich. He scores! Pavel Buchnevich puts in the goal. A shorty for the Blues and a 4-0 lead. 8:08 to go. Second period. And another shorthanded point for Oskar Sundqvist on the assist.
Okay, now work with me here. The Blues up 4-1 after 2 periods, and more special teams as we are playing 2:49 into the third period.
Quickly moves it to Shen on a clean sheet of ice early in the period. Buchnevich, he scores! Power play goal! St. Louis. Pavel Buchnevich puts it in. And the St. Louis Blues with the power play goal make it 5-1. 18:40 to go in the third period. Buchnevich picks up the puck and then goes to the bench with a huge smile on his face.
That was 1:20 into the period. You guys freaking out at this point?
I'm confused because he said 3 words that aren't haven't gone together. Power play goal.
Kind of weird. Kind of weird. I know.
That happened?
Well, not only did it happen, CD, but it happened again.
Top of the circle in the Colorado zone on the power play. Kyrou behind the net. Holds. Finds Thomas far side. Shen. One-timer. He scores! If you've got a hat, chuck it at your radio. Braden Shen with his 4th career hat trick. And the St. Louis Blues with back-to-back power play goals.
No way.
Wow.
Not
No
one,
way.
but 2?
They had 1 on the season coming into that game.
They doubled their effort on the year.
They did.
That's pretty
it was amazing. So you've got Schenner with a hat trick, and Pavel Buchnevich says, "Oh yeah, hold my beer."
That's stolen away by Thomas. Buchnevich, shorthanded breakaway. Buchnevich in, shoots, he scores! If you've got another hat, chuck it at your radio. It's a hat trick for Pavel Buchnevich, his 3rd career hat trick. And this one tonight, 2 shorthanded goals and a power play goal. 7-1 St. Louis.
8-2 was the final. The Blues out shooting Colorado 42-38. A couple of hat tricks, some great special teams play. 200th career Blues win for Craig Berube, and the players seem very enthusiastic about Berube getting win number 200 behind the Blues bench. So all was well with the Blues on Saturday night in Colorado.
What were we ever worried about, guys? What were we ever worried about? Because, I mean, after seeing that performance, one, I think that they were powered by the hatred of Stan Kroenke, which led to that lopsided victory there. But really, it was everything the Blues had been working towards, especially getting the power play going. And you had breakout games from Pavel Buchnevich, who hadn't scored, what was it, in 7 games prior to that. And then you have your captain who led the way, both of them getting hat tricks. It's so rare that you even see one in one game now, but to have 2 was incredible to see. And they were just clicking on all cylinders. I look at the first period and how they were able to really just come out hot and establish things there. And I think that led to it. Jordan Binnington also doing a wonderful job, as he has all season. But the way that he was able to really just control things there in that first period, I think is what led to the Blues really being able to get off to that hot start. And what did he have? 13 saves in just that first period?
Right.
37 on the night.
Right.
What he was able to do, I think, really led the way for them. And then the scoring, That's what we've been waiting for, guys. We've been waiting for this all season.
And maybe Buchnevich just hasn't rounded into form until now.
Well, I think the thing that I saw, again, the effort, the energy, they shot the puck.
42 times.
They shot it. They actually few one time. They took shots. They took opportunities. They didn't overpass. They weren't trying to be too perfect. They weren't trying to do everything great. They just did everything the way that they were coached to do, and they won the game in that fashion. And it was a great win. And so, again, the thing that you have seen from this team is the ability to do that. Now do it over and over and over again. That's your reward. You get to play again, and you get to show everyone that this is exactly who you are, as opposed to a team that goes up and down. And I guess I hope this isn't a fight question, because I do want to know. When's the last time the Blues had 2 hat tricks in a game?
It's been a while.
All right.
You're not going to use that?
You didn't use that?
No,
one?
I thought that was a little bit too esoteric, and so I was like, no, it's not on there. It's in 1986. It's
That would have been a good question. He didn't know it.
Doug Gilmour.
Come on.
And I'm blanking on who the second one is. No, it's a name I have never seen before that.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's 86.
Okay. Jocelyn Lemieux?
No.
No, he wouldn't have been here.
If it pops out here, I can go find it.
How about your MIZZOU Tigers?
I will clap my hands for them.
36-7 over Tennessee on Saturday at Faurot Field in Columbia. Scoreless first quarter. In the second, Tigers down by a score of 7-3 when the amazing Cody Schrader scored his first touchdown of the day.
And it's first and goal for Mizzou at the 7. Schrader, number 7, in for the touchdown.
That made it 7-0, or 10-7 rather. Mevis with a field goal, 13-7 Tigers at the half. Brady Cook with a 3-yard run early in the third quarter, and before the third quarter was out, Harrison Mevis with another field goal. Then Mizzou was able to put it away, 6:21 into the fourth. Cook to Burden.
To throw, but they do anyway. And it's not only a first down, it's a touchdown to Luther Burden. 21 yards.
Mizzou rolls 36-7. They're 8-2 on the season. Cody Schrader becomes the first player in SEC's history with 200 rushing yards in a game and 100 yards receiving in a game. Unbelievable.
Randy, I will tell you, I tell you all this all the time. When you run the ball effectively, eventually the defense gives in. They break, they snap, and that's what Missouri did to the Tennessee Volunteers. They ran the ball. And I'm going to talk about him in our things that we loved about the weekend. But the fact that this young man played every snap until they finally took him out in the end of the fourth quarter, that is absolutely amazing. Cody Schrader did a great job. Brady Cook did a great job extending plays with his legs, picking up crucial third down conversions into first downs when there was no one open. He couldn't find anyone. That's really what broke Tennessee's back, is their inability to get off the field on third down because Brady Cook was able to extend plays. This was a really good game by Missouri, and it was a complete game by Missouri, and they didn't falter, they didn't fail. They turned the ball over early in the first quarter with a bad pass, or the receiver stopped. It was just a confusion, tip ball, all of those things. But Missouri found a way to win that game, and not only win it, but dominate it.
And Schrader carried it 35 times and brings to mind one of the great quotes of all time. John McKay was the coach at USC when O.J. Simpson was there and handed the ball to O.J. 35 times. And one of the writers said, "Aren't you concerned about the number of touches that O.J.'s getting?" And McKay said, "Why? The ball's not heavy."
Cody Schrader deserves all of the praise in the world for what he's done this season and what he did in that game against Tennessee. I feel like you really characterize a performance by what questions were asked prior to the game and what questions were answered after the game. Who's going to win the battle in the trenches? That was a big conversation, because was it going to be Mizzou's high potent offense with Cook and with Schrader, or was it going to be Tennessee, who was coming in? It was the number 1 ranked rush defense in the SEC, and that was answered quickly by Cody Schrader and Cook and by Eli Drinkwitz. It was a very dominant performance. Guys, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this was probably the best win of the season, and maybe during Drinkwitz's career.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it is.
I think it is because of the dominant fashion. Think about how Tennessee, the way that they have beaten them the past few years, and for you to dominate in that performance against them, Tennessee didn't look like a ranked team whatsoever.
No, right. And Mizzou now an 11-point favorite over Florida. Saturday night, 6:30 start at Faurot Field, and that's the big ESPN game on Saturday night. Illinois, ILLINI, 48-45 overtime win over Indiana.
Listen to me. John Paddock, the padlock, 507 yards. He is It leads me to the question: why the hell wasn't he starting to begin the season?
Good question.
What the hell were they doing?
They finally figured it out.
What the hell were they doing? Isaiah Williams had 200 yards receiving. He's done a great job his entire career, but the last couple of weeks especially. It's a great win by Illinois to be down in that game in the manner in which they were, to be able to come back to win in overtime, and to throw for 507 yards for a quarterback that was not the starting quarterback to start the season. All we heard all season and all offseason was Luke Altmaier, the transfer from Ole Miss, and here John Paddock comes in and just does what he does. It's a fantastic win for the Illini.
Good win. In college basketball, SLU built a 20-point lead over Illinois State, held off the Redbirds 80-71 on Saturday night at Chaffetz. Memphis over Mizzou 70-55 after Mizzou led 33-26 at halftime. Got outscored 42-22 in the second. Got to clean that up a little bit. And Michigan, by the way, Michigan football without Jim Harbaugh on the sideline, winning over Penn State 24-15. Michigan threw for 60 yards. And Penn State threw for 74. It was like we went back to the Stone Ages. And Kerry loved every second of it.
Run the ball, man. What the hell you need to throw that ball for? Huh? Just run it.
What did I think McCarthy was 7 of 8 for
He had
Michigan.
like 60-some yards.
Yeah, 7 of 8 for 60 yards. They only threw the ball 8 times.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for them.
It's like Don Shula's Dolphins in the 70s.
Guess what? You hand the ball off. The game goes quicker, too.
Does go quicker. All right, we're off and running here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, what we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. I have to forget we're actually doing a radio show. So then I hear music in my headphones and I pick my headphones up. Oh, here we go.
Got to do some work here.
Yeah, what we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, what do you got?
Number 2.
I'm going to start with Friendsgiving this weekend, yesterday to be specific. Kicking off the holiday season, I love Thanksgiving. That's why when we were talking about last week, things about seeing Christmas decorations already getting up, I like to enjoy Thanksgiving because I think it's one of the best holidays, one of the best food holidays. And I feel like Friendsgiving is kind of newer, right? Is this like a newer tradition?
Last 4 or 5 years. That I think. I mean,
I don't think the Pilgrims did it.
No.
Well,
I don't think that was friendly. No.
It was unfriendly.
No. But well, anyways, we had a great Friendsgiving. Fantastic food. And you always worry sometimes that there's going to be a couple bad dishes, right? You're already expecting that. No bad dishes. Everything was fantastic. The right sides. There was mashed potatoes, multiple mac and cheeses, including the salt and smoke one, which is always a crowd favorite. But I also made my own that was cheddar heavier. Great turkey. Fantastic. So I'm very excited that Thanksgiving is right around the corner. And to kick it off with Friendsgivings, invite me to all your Friendsgiving.
Any pies?
Yes.
What'd you have?
Pumpkin pie.
Love it.
Yes.
Well done. Good. Okay.
My number 2, again, is going to be what I saw from the Missouri Tigers on Saturday, specifically Cody Schrader. I don't know if people truly understand how hard it is to carry the ball 35 times, to catch 4 or 5 passes out of the backfield for 100 yards, and to play every single snap. I did not see him come out of the game until the game was over, and they finally allowed someone else to come in and get a carry. That was outstanding from a running back perspective. And we talked about him on Friday. What is his future looking like? For me, it looks like he's going to be playing on Sunday. This is a young man that can do everything, every facet of the game. He's really good in. I'm watching Steeler highlights. He reminds me a little bit of a Jalen Warren, a guy like that that can, maybe not be a number 1, but be a solid backup and can do everything, whether it's special teams, running the ball when you need to, pass pro when you got to have it, all of those things that a true running back encompasses. He has all of those skills. And I thought he did a fantastic job over the weekend.
Good call.
I love Cody Schrader's story. Just the fact that you go from D2 to walk-on to scholarship player to captain of the team to now leading rusher in the SEC. I tweeted it out. He deserves all the national attention, which I think he's getting more now because of that dominant performance against Tennessee. But he deserves all the praise.
And I love that his teammates picked him up, how they carried him off. I thought that was I just think it's spectacular when your peers understand, what you've accomplished, what you've gone through, and what you're doing right now. Like you said, to come from a Division II football program to be the SEC leading rusher, those things don't happen in that way.
Guys, my number 2 is being over at the factory in Chesterfield on Saturday night for the Down Syndrome Association Trivia Night. Raised almost $100,000 for Down syndrome. And if you go to Charity Navigator, St. Louis, every single year is rated as one of the 3 most philanthropic cities in America, and we always see it. We certainly aren't a huge market like New York or L.A. or Chicago or even Dallas or Houston or Atlanta, but we raise more money for charities than those cities do. And I'm always so heartened when I get involved with an event to see how generous people are. And people had a great time. By the way, the factory is a great venue if you're ever going to do a trivia night, but it's just great to see people having a good time and contributing to making our society better. And it's one of the great things about living in St. Louis. And thanks to the Down Syndrome Association for having me on Saturday night.
Very nice.
Thanks.
Number 1.
Mine's going to have to be the dominant win by the Blues, guys. 8-2 against the Avalanche. We were talking about this season. You always worry about the Avalanche when you're facing off against them. But the fact that they were able to do that in such a dominant fashion and 2 hat tricks in one game.
Spectacular.
We were talking about it. You don't have that happen in one game typically, but to have 2. And I'm so excited that Pavel Buchnevich was a part of that. I still think that he is a huge catalyst for the Blues this season. When he gets going, so do the Blues. Remember, Robert Thomas said that to us last week when we asked about him, because Pavel was so upset with his performance recently. And I just like how candid he is and how he really holds himself accountable. And he showed up in this game. And I think this will really jumpstart the Blues in a good way.
For me, it was just the ability to relax and rest on a weekend. First time, long time. And the reasons behind it, obviously not great. We wanted to be playing in the playoffs, but to have an opportunity to just sit back, not have much. I got some work done at the house, got some things that I needed to take care of done that you normally don't get to do because you're scrambling, running around, whether you're playing Friday night or Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. You just don't get those things done. So I had time to get some work around the house done.
Awesome.
Which was
Good.
That's nice.
Guys, my number one, we all love feel-good stories, and there may be one unfolding in the Twin Cities with Joshua Dobbs getting traded to the Vikings and with having no practice with their team. He leads them to a win in his first game, and then yesterday gets his first start with the Vikings, 23 of 34 for 268 and a touchdown, and leads them to a win over New Orleans. And they love him. His teammates love him. He's a mature guy, and he's a guy that has been knocking at the door, waiting for an opportunity and just hasn't gotten it. And I always liked him at Tennessee. I always thought he was going to be a good NFL quarterback. He may be the essence of being in the right place at the right time finally, and I'm glad he's getting his chance.
And guess what? He's doing this without one of the best receivers in the league.
He is.
Yes.
Out. I mean, when Justin Jefferson comes back from this was the ankle or hamstring injury, it's going to be intriguing to see how well they connect, how well they mesh. And you may be looking at a Minnesota team that says, you know what, maybe we don't have to go and draft a quarterback early in the first round in next year's draft. Maybe we actually have a guy, again, he's been a journeyman, but Kirk Cousins is not much different than he is in terms of ability and arm talent and the football acumen that they both have. It's a really good place for Joshua Dobbs, and if you are going to move on from Kirk Cousins, which I think they had plans on doing, you got a reasonable substitute that is not going to cost you nearly as much.
That would be crazy if he doesn't get a full-time starting job. I think it would be a huge miss by the Vikings if they do not keep him there. I'm also surprised, guys, that nobody picked Drinkwitz icing the Tennessee kicker as their favorite moment. I was expecting somebody to say it because that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Sad for Tennessee, but hilarious nonetheless.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. That's what we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, 4 downs from the NFL on the opening drive with Brooke, Carrie, and Randy on 101 ESPN. Hey, guys, I have a great idea for you. Maybe somebody in your family has everything, and you're house needs flooring. Well, how about heading over to Ambassador Midwest Floor and picking out some flooring, or having your family pick out some flooring and using that for a holiday gift. If you buy a gift card for $500 or more, you get an extra 10% bonus when you buy new floors in the new year. It's so cool, all of the different flooring that they have at Ambassador Midwest Floor. You'll love the incredible selection. They've got hardwood, they've got laminate, they've got carpet, they've got luxury vinyl from famous brands. And when you get the gift card, they're going to gift wrap a digital photo frame for you, and they're going to actually show you flooring ideas that you can give at the holidays. And then once you have your flooring down, you can change that digital frame into one that you use for family pictures. It really is amazing what they provide for you at Ambassador Midwest Floor. You can find them on the web at ambassadorfloor.com, and you'll be up front for installation by their 100-employee master craftsmen. Shop Ambassador Midwest Floor in Glendale and in Chesterfield Valley. Love your floors and experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Over the weekend, the Blues with a big win over the Avalanche, 8-2. They are off today, back in action tomorrow, facing off against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Also over the weekend, a big win for the Missouri Tigers, number 14th ranked over number 13 ranked Tennessee, 36-7. Cody Schrader with over 200 rushing yards and over 100 receiving yards. He becomes the first player to rush for over 100 yards over 300 yards in Missouri, or over 300 total yards from scrimmage in Missouri history. Also over the weekend, all three of your basketball teams in action. The Billikens with an 80-71 win over Illinois State. Missouri jumps out to a 33-26 lead over Memphis and then gets blown out 44-22 in the second half. They lose 70-55. And number 25 ranked Illinois with a 64-53 win over Oakland. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Time for four downs from the NFL. First down. Look, what do you got?
CJ Stroud is a superstar. We've been talking a lot about him, but this past weekend, he out-burrowed Burrow. That's really what happened there. I mean, Stroud going 23 for 39 for 356 yards and a touchdown, adding another on the ground. That is Stroud's fourth 300-yard game already this season. And early in the second half, he's become the fourth quarterback in league history to throw for 2,500 yards in his first 9 games, joining the likes of Justin Herbert, Andrew Luck, and Cam Newton. Guys, I've been singing C.J. Stroud's praises all year, and rightfully so. I know that I mentioned him being Offensive Rookie of the Year, but is it time that we start talking about him in the MVP race?
I think you have to. They're in the playoff race, and he's got to be in there, right?
He does, and I think that, It's amazing to watch this team perform it the way that they do. They're one game out of first place in their division behind the Jacksonville Jaguars, who got thumped over the weekend. They have already beaten the Jaguars head-to-head in Jacksonville. You could be looking at a Tennessee team that could potentially win the division and be playing in the playoffs, which is absolutely absurd to me because they had the number 2 and number 3 picks overall last season, last draft. And so I'm looking at an organization that should not be where they are, but this is a clear example of picking the right quarterback, getting the right guy under center at that position can really change the trajectory of your entire organization, your entire franchise for one season and for the future. And right now, C.J. Stroud is doing that. You go into Cincinnati, you play that game the way that they did, where the ability to come back and put together a drive again to finish the game off in the way that he's done a couple of times this year. He is spectacular. And the couple of games that they lost, remember they lost to Atlanta on a late field goal. They could be, they could have, 6 or 7 wins right now and be in a better spot than they are. But they are a really good football team.
D'Amico Ryan's doing a great job as their head coach.
Yes,
too.
Yeah, and he had that late game interception, but the way that he is able to bounce back from adversity really shows that. But, I mean, the Texans have already won more games this season than they did in any of their last 3 years. I think that he deserves to be a part of the MVP conversation. I know it's not decided in November, but in December, so that has to be continued where he has to build off of that. But still, I don't think anybody else is running away with it at this point.
No, definitely not.
Second down.
Well, I'm going to be a complete homer here and obviously talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. You have division losses by the Bengals, who we just talked about losing to the Texans, and the Cincinnati, the Bengals lost, and then the Baltimore Ravens losing to the Cleveland Browns. The Steelers are sitting there at number 2 in the division with a 2-0 record in the division, with an opportunity to actually win this division, despite being a team that has been outgained in yards the entire season by every team in every game that they've played. They have found a way to win 6 games. Their defense plays well. They get timely sacks. They get after the quarterback. They make big interceptions when it's needed. And their running game, Randy, I know you're excited about that because you have one Najee Harris as your running back. They are starting to figure out how to run the ball effectively and gain yards, which was so hard to come by earlier this year. Now, they have played some teams that aren't great. They beat the Titans last week. They beat the Packers this week. Kenny Pickett we're still waiting for that breakout type of game. But Mike Tomlin finds a way to win football games over and over and over again, and it is spectacular.
He's amazing in the way that he just finds a way to get that team to come away with a victory. And it's not always pretty, but they just win games.
Yes.
And would anybody be surprised if I think they will make the playoffs. I don't think anybody will be surprised if they make the playoffs, right?
No.
Pretty amazing.
They are a really good team figuring out ways to win games.
Third down.
Well, guys, I hate the Cowboys. But if you watch the morning shows, which we always have up on the screens up here on 101 ESPN, you would think that Dak Prescott was A.J. Feely. And Dak Prescott was taken in the 4th round of the draft where Jared Goff went first. He's pretty darn good, and Carson Wentz went second. Yesterday, Prescott passed for 400 yards. He has 10 career 400-yard games in his first 8 years, tying Dan Marino, Hall of Fame, and Patrick Mahomes, who's going to the Hall of Fame. Prescott now has 33 games with at least 3 touchdown passes, tied with Brett Favre for the most such games in his first 8 seasons, and trailing only Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, and Patrick Mahomes. Pretty tall cotton for Dak. 18 games with at least 300 passing yards and 3 touchdown passes, surpassing Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, and Kurt Warner for the 3rd most in his first 8 years. Only Mahomes and Marino have more. When the Cowboys lose, it's not because of Dak Prescott necessarily. Does he throw a pick here or there? Yes. Does every quarterback throw a pick here or there? Yes. But the guy's 67-39 in his career as a starting quarterback with the Cowboys. He's better than A.J. Feely, and he's not the reason the Cowboys lose games when they lose. And, oh, by the way, most of the time when Dak Prescott plays, they win.
Well, I agree, and some of the reasons why they have had their struggles, some of it has been defense, some of it has been, as great as that offensive line is, they're always hurt. Like, they have, on paper, one of the best offensive lines and have had one of the best offensive lines probably for the last 5 years, but they're always injured. Somebody is. So there are a lot of factors that go into what Dak Prescott does or does not do. But yesterday, he showed up and showed out, and that's, I think, what Jerry Jones and all Cowboy fans have as their expectation for the Cowboys and Dak Prescott.
4th down. And guys, as we end here, let's talk about endings. 5 teams, Arizona, Cleveland, Detroit, Houston, and Seattle, had game-winning field goals with no time left yesterday. That is the most game-winning scores with no time remaining in regulation in a single week in NFL history. The parity in this league is absolutely bananas. Kyler Murray leading a game-winning drive at the end. Deshaun Watson coming back and leading a game-winning drive at the end. By the way, against the Baltimore defense. No surprise that Detroit did it. No surprise at this point that Houston did it. Seattle did it too, and they got the ball back with, I think, 48 seconds left, and Geno Smith did it. But the parity in the league is crazy. Yesterday, all the pregame shows were talking about how, well, we have to say now, Baltimore is by far the best team in the league. Well, no, not 3 hours later they aren't anymore.
Then they lose. The Baltimore Ravens, listen, they have to be one of the most frustrating teams to watch if you're a Baltimore fan. They lost games and they lose games where they're winning, where they're winning in the fourth quarter, where they are up and for whatever reason cannot close the door. And John Harbaugh is going to have to look at this defense and figure out what they're not doing well enough, not getting guys on the ground. There was a play where Njoku took a defender about 15 yards, just carried him with him. They have to figure out how to close the door because Lamar Jackson does his job. But the defense, going back to last year, sometimes just lets him down and they don't finish the job.
I agree. I don't know what it is. That's what I was going to ask you is why can't they close the door there? What is it?
And they did it last year too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They did it. They had those same situations last year where they were up big and just for whatever reason couldn't find a way to finish the game.
So
pretty frustrating for them.
I would be worried about that come playoff time.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's 4 downs from the NFL. Coming up, get your text in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Take it or leave it is coming your way on 101 ESPN. Okay, as you go outside this weekend, this week, you might not believe that it's actually going to get cold in St. Louis. But the fact of the matter is we don't live in San Diego, kids. And yes, it is going to get cold. And we're going to have freezing weather. And that's why you need to get in touch with my friends at Hoffman Brothers Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical. Their number is 314-664-3011. You can find them on the web at hoffmanbros.com and schedule directly there. And what they're going to do at Hoffman Brothers is come on up and take a look at your furnace and make sure that you're good to go for the winter. And if you turn on your furnace for the first time and you have that first season smell, don't worry, that's normal and will go away as time goes by. But you want to make sure that you have heating system maintenance and inspection by Hoffman Brothers, just to ensure that everything's working properly for you and your family, and so that everybody can be comfortable and safe all winter long. Hoffman Brothers is a proud Mitsubishi Electric heating and air conditioning elite contractor, so if you need a new furnace, they can help you out in that regard as well. But they'll do great work on coming into your house, taking a look at your furnace, and making sure that you know that you are completely safe. Hoffman Brothers, 314-664-3011, hoffmanbros.com.
Time for Take It or Leave It.
Want to say something? Put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, set it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your Take It or Leave It.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
All right, time for Take It or Leave It here on 101 ESPN. Get your text in. The Air Comfort Service text line is open, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. All right, kids, we've done this one before, but since Mizzou only has 2 games left, Florida, where they're an 11-point favorite at home, and Arkansas at the end of the season, they might get Sam Pittman fired if they win that game. Take it or leave it. Mizzou plays in a New Year's Day bowl game.
Oh, I'm going to take it now.
I'll take it.
Yes. 100%.
I am too. I'm
take
all
it.
in.
Did we say Tampa? That one's...
I think Orlando is the one that's the favorite right now, but Tampa would be the best one because Tampa's a better city.
Tampa is a much better city.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
But isn't that where Disney World is? Is it in Orlando?
No, that's 45 minutes away.
Oh, okay.
Tampa is...
But I'm saying, like, Orlando has that, so...
Yeah, Tampa's one of the best cities in America. Top 5.
Yeah.
It's a great town.
I haven't been in a long time.
I'm just saying, yeah. There's a lot to do in Tampa. I mean, you can have whatever your desire, whatever you like. Like in terms of family things, you can go to Disney World, which is 45 minutes away, or you can go to Ybor City, which is another place. So you enjoy Tampa to your discretion.
You sound like T.I. with that song where you can have whatever you like.
Something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful place.
Beautiful. Yeah. Okay, maybe I have to go there then.
Yes, you should.
Yes, you do.
On New Year's Day.
That's a good idea.
Better. So, obviously, Jimbo got fired down there at Texas A&M. There have been talks of some people that they were thinking about bringing in. Mike Elko from Duke. Don't think that's a big enough name. Dan Lanning from Oregon. He's probably not leaving. Lane Kiffin, maybe not. What about the coach that is actually suspended right now and probably not going to be back at his school next season in Jim Harbaugh?
Ooh, that is a good
Take it or leave
one.
it. They would go after Jim Harbaugh.
I'll take that. Yes, they would.
I'm going to take that too.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think they'll go after him. I think he'll go to the NFL.
And he won't suffer any other repercussions, right?
They giving away $70-something million to walk away. There is not an NFL organization going to give you that.
No, that's true.
But would you want to go into that?
Hell yeah.
I guess so.
I wouldn't
Money
give it-
for
listen.
$75 million. If you look at that
I'm
job,
coaching football anyways.
Yeah.
What the hell do I care?
Yeah, that's really interesting.
They'll have to figure out their contracts a little bit better. Hopefully, they'll learn from
they
their
have
mistakes, or they
money.
just don't care. That's
They
so
have
wasteful.
money. Didn't you see Johnny Manziel when he was
Yeah.
Throwing the money sign? You think that was because he obviously didn't have the oil money like he portrayed?
Yeah. By the way, Mizzou flying high right now. In the ESPN projections, Mark Schlabach has Mizzou playing Texas in the Cotton Bowl. And on Saturday, December 30th, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Kyle Bonagura has Mizzou taking on Tulane.
I'll take on Tulane.
That's not that exciting. I would love to be in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. I bet that they get a great swag bag for that one.
Those are in the rotation for the CFP. I mean, those are big deals.
Yeah. All right, guys. A beautiful love story continues to blossom. It is so beautiful.
So beautiful.
This past weekend, Travis Kelce was at Taylor Swift's concert. And I know that there's some people out there.
Where was the concert at?
Buenos Aires.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Buenos Aires. And I know that there's some people out there, they're like, this isn't real. Maybe some people in this room who don't believe it's real. But then some magic happened. And Taylor Swift, during one of her songs this weekend, had this to say. She said, coming home with me. And then when she ran off stage.
Karma is the guy in the Chiefs.
Coming home with me. And then she ran off stage and gave Travis Kelce a big old kissy kiss.
Now, I will admit.
Take it or leave it. This is as real as it gets.
And her dad was there.
I'll take it.
She watched the whole concert with her dad.
I was hesitant to believe that this was a real relationship. I thought we were having, being played. But the interaction, like when you're holding hands and walking through, that's fine. But the interaction when she came off stage and jumped into it, okay, then maybe they're together. So not that I care.
Guys, watching now what we have watched with her sitting with Travis's mom in the first game at Arrowhead and seeing him with her dad, take it or leave it, this relationship has been going on for far longer than we know.
I'm going to take it. This has been going on for a while.
They know the pair. They're very comfortable with each other's parents.
I don't know. I think I'll leave that. I think when we knew I think we all knew at the same time. We're together? Yeah, we're together. Okay, so yeah. But they're together now.
They are. Yeah.
There you go.
CD's so happy about this.
Oh, yeah, it's the best. It's the best. All right, Matthew, what do we got on the text line today? Is the text line working?
I'm going to throw one of mine out, actually, because it just came down that Mississippi State has fired Coach Zach Arnett. Take it or leave it. You can't think of another game where both coaches got the pink slip afterwards.
Oh, he was so good in 30 Rock.
No, I don't think. I don't know
that's Will Arnett, I think.
Sorry. I thought he was Dr. Spichemin.
So both head coaches from this 51-10 drubbing over the weekend have now been fired within a 48-hour window.
That's actually amazing.
I don't think it's ever happened.
I would have to agree. Maybe in the NFL with two teams that what they call it, Black Monday.
Take it or leave it? What am I taking?
Take it or leave it. You've never seen a game get two coaches pink slipped in the same week.
Not in mid-season. No, I'll take it.
I think he was probably, after Mike Leach died, he was probably an interim all along.
They were both just kind of filling spots in the last few weeks. Take it or leave it. Super Bowl, what is this, 63? Is that the year we're on?
No, I think we're
53?
It ain't 63. That's 20.
53. From 53?
No, 57 maybe?
57.
Oh, sorry, this is 58. I can't read Roman numerals anymore. I used to have that ability. Sorry. So, take it or leave it. Super Bowl 58. Detroit Lions versus Cleveland Browns. Start hoarding food and water. The apocalypse is near.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Oh, listen.
Yep, in Vegas.
Oh, God.
Who would have thought that 10 years ago?
Listen, if that's the case,
7 years after the Cubs won the World Series,
that would be that'd be a worry. That'd be a problem. Problematic.
Last Browns championship, 1963. Last Lions championship, 1957. And in those years, Vegas wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, according to this place in this studio, we don't consider that football, Randy.
Oh, that's true.
One of us doesn't.
Yeah.
That's not what happened.
It's not rude. Was it 1965 or 1968?
1967.
Yeah, when football started.
That's when the Super Bowl's first held.
Yeah,
I was thinking
football started. According to
when football
started.
That's how football goes.
It's pretty unbelievable when you think
it's amazing how they're doing anything before that.
Teams in the NFL that, because we had the good fortune of having our team in the Super Bowl a couple times. Cardinal fans have not. Lions have not. Jaguars have not. The Dolphins haven't been in a Super Bowl since 1984. The Browns have never been in a Super Bowl. Dallas hasn't been in one since 1995. Minnesota hasn't been in a Super Bowl since 1977, and they've never won one. Houston has never been in a Super Bowl. Cincinnati has never won in a Super Bowl. Last time they were in was, well, they lost a couple of years ago to the Rams. Buffalo has never won a Super Bowl. The Raiders haven't won since the 80s. The Chargers have never won a Super Bowl. The Jets haven't won since 1969.
The Titans.
The Titans have never won. The Commanders haven't won since 1991. The Falcons have never won a Super Bowl. It's amazing to me how many franchises. Bears haven't won since 85. The Panthers have never won one. About half the league has never won a Super Bowl, and about a quarter of the league has never even been in one.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's hard, man. It's hard to win championships. It's hard to, be consistent and be playoff contenders year after year and give yourself a chance to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, take it or leave it, Vikings go 10-7 and make the playoffs with their new superstar, Josh Dobbs.
Hottest team in the league.
Freaking game he had.
6-4 right
That
now.
running touchdown was sweet.
Yeah, I'm going to take it.
too.
I'm all on the Dobbs train at this
Like I
point.
said,
At
Justin
Denver.
Jefferson's not back yet, so.
At Denver next Sunday night.
Oh, that's a
Oh,
win.
yeah.
7-4. Chicago at home.
Oh, the
8-4.
mighty Bears.
Win.
You got to watch for that
At
one.
Raiders.
Win.
Should be a win.
Okay. 8-4, 9-4. At Cincinnati, loss. That's 5 losses. Detroit at home.
That's going to be a big game. Mm-hmm. And depending on what Detroit looks like over the next few weeks, they got the Bears, Packers, and Saints. Those are
That's
got the
Christmas
Bears,
Eve.
Packers, Saints, Bears. They'll and Broncos.
Then the Packers and at Detroit. So, yeah, they 10-7 looks very doable for the Vikings.
I agree.
I'll take it. Because why not? I love Josh Dobbs. I will say
do
it.
too. Yeah.
I wish that the Titans would have kept him.
Me too. Would have been a great Tennessee story.
It would have been.
Take it or leave it. If you're one of the teams that's lost to Iowa, who has scored a combined 42 points, you should be automatically fired.
The coach should? Yeah, I'll take it. What the hell?
You talk about going back to the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Football, Big Ten football. Look at this. Illinois is keeping us around, man. All the passing we're doing with 500 yards. Michigan, Penn State, Iowa, forget about it. Don't even worry about it. We don't need to pass the ball. Receivers are non-existent.
Fair enough. Take it or leave it. Cody Schrader should be, but won't be, the SEC Player of the Year.
Oh.
There's a quarterback in LSU.
I know.
That might win the Heisman.
What has he done?
He's
Name me one game where he set a record.
He only set a record last game with 600 total yards,
Name me a
200
second
rushing,
one.
and 300 plus passing. Yeah, he's probably a lock for that.
Cody Schrader could throw the ball. If they allowed him to throw the ball, he could
There
do
you
that.
go.
He could
Maybe
do
you
that.
can add that to the list. Should he be in the Heisman conversation?
That's a very good question.
Jaden Daniels?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. No, Cody Schrader.
Cody, I'm trying to think. I mean, right now you got Penix from Washington. You got Jaden Daniels from LSU.
He's the leading rusher in
Trying
Power
to think
5.
of who else off the top of my head.
McCarthy, who is his
But
statistics are dynamic.
that last game didn't give me
70 yards.
Yeah, that's not something you look at and say, "Oh yeah, I want."
He got like 6 for 7 though.
Williams and Shador have fallen off.
Yeah, I agree. Both of them. I mean,
Bo Nix jumped up. I think he jumped up to the odds-end favorite in Vegas right now over the weekend.
Bo Nix doesn't. It's just, I think he's a good quarterback. When I hear Bo Nix, I think of Auburn. I don't think of Oregon for some reason. Like, I can only see him in Auburn uniform. It doesn't feel the same.
Schrader is now 7th in the country in rushing with 1,124 yards. Not bad. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you very much for your texts. We do appreciate them. Mizzou is the second highest ranked 2-loss team to Oregon State. How high should they go? That's next on 101 ESPN. If you are looking for a place that has a delicious lunch for you today, I want you to head to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. You can find more about them at fentonbarandgrill.com. But you talk about a well-prepared, tantalizing menu. Everything on the menu at the Fenton Bar and Grill is delicious. They have wonderful daily specials and great soups today. And on a day like today, go out on their patio and enjoy the perfect St. Louis weather, whether you're getting together with somebody for a business meeting or maybe you're just meeting some buddies for lunch or a happy hour. It's great to get to the Fenton Bar and Grill. Stop by and say hi to their great people, Kelly and Megan and Ashley and the crew. Come by and say hi to the big boss man, Chuck. He's a great guy, huge sports fan. And at the Fenton Bar and Grill, they're going to really take care of you, and you're going to have a great time with the people there, talking some sports and just hanging out. By the way, it's the home club, home of the Cody Schrader fan club. It's where Cody hangs out when he comes back home. It's the Fenton Bar and Grill. Learn more at fentonbarandgrill.com. Have lunch there today or this week, and tell them Randy sent you.
A fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
And here's Schrader. And his longest reception of the year was earlier. It might be topped right here. And it's first and goal for Mizzou at the 7. Schrader, number 7, in for the touchdown. We'll just give it to 7 and see if he can go the distance. Maybe he can. Cody Schrader.
I was going to say, I trust number 7.
Talking about the best player in college football who's done more for his football team than anybody else. He's the leading rusher in the SEC. When's the last time the leading rusher in the SEC on a top 10 team wasn't considered for the Heisman?
2023.
That is the head coach of your Missouri Tigers, Eli Drinkwitz. That's Kerry Davis talking about how
No offense.
Cody Schrader has no chance of being considered for the Heisman Trophy.
No offense. I say it with all due respect, but it's really a quarterback award at this point. I mean, unless you have one of those spectacular 2,000 or 1,800-yard seasons and 25 touchdowns, something like that. Cody Schrader has been playing outstanding. He is really the catalyst that gets that offense going. And we talk about Luther Burden, we talk about Brady Cook and how well they have been connecting. But this team runs through Cody Schrader, and he's done a fantastic job. But just not quite good enough, I don't believe, to be in the Heisman conversation.
And he is all about the team. At 8-2, Mizzou, the second highest ranked 2-loss team. Oregon State is the one in the AP poll. ESPN college football playoff expert Heather Dinich thinks that the CFP, when they come out with their new rankings tomorrow, will have Mizzou as the highest ranked 2-loss team. And if they win out, should they be ranked higher than a 3-loss LSU, whom they lost to, or fellow 2-loss SEC team Ole Miss. Ole Miss's losses to Alabama and Georgia, and they'll be playing for the SEC championship. By the way, how are we going to cover all of this in 60 seconds?
I don't know.
Did we set our timer? Because we had Brooke had somebody tweeted her that we're going to only give Mizzou 60. That time's up. All right.
Oh,
next.
no.
Next topic.
we only talk about Mizzou 60 seconds, so we really have gone over that number today.
You guys watching a good show?
I'm over it.
Movies this weekend.
To the next.
Well, to answer your question, Randy, here's the thing. I think with LSU, looking at their 3 losses against Georgia, Alabama, and Florida State, I think that they are rightfully in the position they should be. Now, Mizzou definitely deserves a lot of credit, but I think that according to some of the projections, what are they at right now? I think 11 or 12th, and that would make them the highest 2-loss team. I think that that's the right position for Mizzou at this moment. And I'm just being realistic. Yeah. They definitely deserve all the credit in the world, but realistically, I think that that's the position that they should be in.
Even if LSU wins out the rest of the way, they'll have 3 losses. And despite the win over Mizzou, and by the way, Mizzou should have won the game, and the committee does look at type and style of win. A 2-loss Mizzou team to LSU and to Georgia, I think that trumps the 3-loss LSU. So I agree that they should be ranked higher than LSU. However, with Ole Miss's losses to Georgia and Alabama, those are the only 2 losses they have. Now, Mizzou has better wins, but it'd be hard to place Missouri ahead of Ole Miss.
Yeah, I don't think that they will be ahead of Ole Miss. I think I'm looking at it from last year. Your top 4 probably stay the same. I don't think anybody did anything. Washington is still knocking on the doors. Oregon still 6, and Texas and Alabama 7 and 8. Ole Miss, I mean, maybe they probably stay in the same spot. Penn State will drop back, and so I think the Tigers will move up potentially a couple of spots. They might be 12, maybe 11, depending on what you do with everyone else in front of them. Ole Miss and Penn State both losing, they'll potentially be out of the top 10, or maybe Ole Miss will just drop back 1 spot.
Heather Dinich from ESPN thinks that the reason that Georgia will climb over Ohio State this week to number 1 is because of Mizzou's win over Tennessee. That, she says, Mizzou could now be the committee's top 2-loss team. Because Missouri, while having the 2 losses, has been so impressive in their wins. And they've done it now against 3 top 25 teams. An impressive win against K-State, an impressive win against Kentucky on the road, and now an impressive win against Tennessee.
If they had beaten Georgia and they were sitting here 9-1, I think they would be ahead of Oregon. Right. I mean, I think they would be at number 6 behind Washington. All of the undefeated teams would be in front of them. But, you lost 1 extra game. And so they are going to be in a really good bowl if they win out, which they should.
If they had beaten Georgia,
and Arkansas left.
Yeah, if they had beaten Georgia, they would be getting ready to play in the SEC championship game.
There you go.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, they would be. I do think that the LSU loss is definitely something that continues to just almost hold them back in a lot of national perspective eyes. In Oregon State, I still think that they are probably the best 2-loss team. So I can see it being Oregon State, then Mizzou, then Ole Miss, and that kind of breakdown.
Yeah, I wonder, from the committee's perspective, if the Pac-12, which got off to such an incredible start, if they've kind of fallen off a little bit and the SEC has reasserted itself as the best conference too. Because there's some, and in conference play, you're going to beat each other up. But one of the things that the Pac-12 had going for them early was Colorado. Yeah. And Colorado isn't what they were. So now, rather than having multiple teams that were off to great starts, you've got Oregon, you've got Washington, you've got Oregon State, right?
Yeah.
Is there any other team that you love?
Utah is still, but they are a 3-loss team.
Yeah, right.
Arizona actually is won a really big. I guess it was a decent game against Colorado. They won on a field goal there, but no. To answer your question, there's not anybody in the Pac-12 that you're looking at and saying, "Oh yeah, they are a stellar team or a team worthy of being moved up further."
Somebody texted in, what about an impressive win against K-State when they're looking and breaking down these
Just mentioned
wins?
that. Yeah, 3 wins against ranked teams, impressive wins. Kansas State, Kentucky, Tennessee, all great for the Mizzou resume. And unfortunately, the Florida, if they get Florida, and Florida's an 11-point underdog coming into Mizzou Saturday night, but that will not be perceived now as a very impressive win because Florida's not even ranked anymore.
Yeah.
And Arkansas. But if you're Mizzou, you just have to do your job because everybody that's a Mizzou fan and knows Mizzou history knows that this Florida game is a game that previous Mizzou editions might have lost. Yeah. So they have to be sure that they can take care of business. And when you can dominate in the trenches, Rookie mentioned this early off the bat, how Missouri dominated in the trenches against a Tennessee team that is capable of doing that to other teams. That's what they have to do to go to Florida. They have to have the mindset that we're just going to go in and physically dominate them. And now, and Kerry, you watched, it looks like they're feeling it. It looks like both on both sides of the ball, in the trenches, both offensive and defensive lines, that Missouri's group of players is feeling it.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they are beating people up front. And when you can run the ball in the manner in which they did Saturday, you can do pretty much anything because it opens up your entire game plan. The touchdown to Luther Burden, I think everybody on Tennessee's defense thought it was going to be a run to Cody Schrader. Why not? You ran it to him 30-plus times, and then you were able to slip Luther out in the flat for a touchdown. Those are things that come along with being able to run the football and really physically imposing your will on your opponent. That to me is what football is, moving a man from point A to point B against his will and doing it over and over and over again, and Missouri did that over the weekend.
I agree. I mean, with what Cody Schrader was able to do and with Brady Cook, but I want to give so much credit to Baker's defense this season. The progression that they've had and what he's been able to do. I think that, I said it earlier, I think this is probably the best win of the Eli Drinkwitz era. The way that they were able to just dominate against Tennessee, a team that has dominated them before in recent years, and you were able to do it in that fashion was fantastic. And I like the icing the kicker. I thought that was a kind of funny moment by Eli Drinkwitz and kind of a flex by him. But I thought that was just such a great performance by Mizzou, and they do deserve a lot more national attention for what they've been able to accomplish this season.
One other question. If Mizzou goes 10-2 and to a New Year's Day bowl game, does A&M come after Eli?
Oh, we got some texts. Yeah, we got some texts in about that.
I don't think so. I think Texas A&M is looking for that name, that guy that can recruit and bring in the star-powered players that they need and can coach them up. I said Jim Harbaugh earlier. I think that would be a good name for them, but I don't know where they go. I don't know. I tell you this: if Texas A&M comes knocking, Drink won't be here. He'll be in Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's not even listed among the
not
possible.
against him.
Yeah.
Nothing against him. It's just business.
Right. Adam Rittenberg at ESPN has the guys as Mike Elko at Duke, who was the defensive coordinator under Fisher at A&M, who's having a great year. Texas San Antonio coach Jeff Traylor, Oregon coach Dan Lanning, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, Kalen DeBoer at Washington, Sonny Dykes at TCU, Chris Kleeman at Kansas State, and James Franklin at Penn State. Those are the guys that are listed as the top group right now.
I can understand the fear, though, because you know how much money Texas A&M has available,
Right.
and Drinkwitz is from Arkansas, which you'd be familiar kind of with that recruiting bed there in Texas and Arkansas, obviously close to each other. I think that is a very valid fear because he's new and exciting and young, and when it comes to recruiting, he's done a great job of that in Missouri and actually recruiting locally, too.
And the reason that it came up is because you mentioned Blake Baker's name. There's going to be schools that have much bigger assistant coach budgets that are going to come after Kirby Moore and Blake Baker.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for those guys.
There are. Good for them. It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and that's today's Fresh Take. Coming up, the Blues with a rout of Colorado on Saturday night in Denver. The Lightning in town tomorrow. We're going to talk about it with Chris Kerber next on 101 ESPN. We were putting together our Thanksgiving menu this weekend, and we're going to head to Schnucks later this week. Take advantage of the great deals they're going to have on turkeys for Thanksgiving. But you need to get everything, whether it's your ingredients for your stuffing or your sweet potatoes or your mashed potatoes. Everything that you need is going to be available for you at Schnucks, and you can actually get money back when you do purchase your Thanksgiving feast at Schnucks, because with the Schnucks Rewards app, you earn 2% back on every purchase you make. So whatever you buy for Thanksgiving, you're going to get 2% back, and it's easy. It's just the easiest thing in the world. Shop, earn, and redeem. Just show your barcode or give your phone number at checkout. They'll take it, and they will give you that discount. And they're going to have magnificent deals starting tomorrow at all of the Schnucks stores. So get ready for Thanksgiving and make sure that you make yourself a perfect, a fantastic, a spectacular French silk pie and some mac and cheese. That's a staple, isn't it? Get everything you need for your holiday at Schnucks.
Time for Kerbside with the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
The St. Louis Blues have won 4 out of 5 as the Tampa Bay Lightning visit town tomorrow night. The Blues have played 13 games, and if the playoffs started today, they would be a playoff team. And the further we go along in the season and the Blues are in that playoff hunt, the better it is. Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues here on 101 ESPN, joins us. He had to take a day off after calling those 8 Blues goals on Saturday night. Kerbs, good morning. How you doing?
I'm a little hoarse, but I'm all right.
That's what we like to hear. That was fun, and I want to start with this: is Pavel Buchnevich perhaps the engine of this team? A rounded into form, healthy Pavel Buchnevich.
I think that, and I believe that Pavel Buchnevich is probably the best all-around player on this team. Kind of like Ryan O'Reilly was when he was here, and there are guys that are better in certain areas than he is in some aspects of the game. But just in terms of size, his ability to hold on to the puck, his ability to shoot the puck, the fact that he can play power play penalty kill, you can have him defend against the other team's top lines, and he is a threat against any other line from any other team. He really is. Craig Berube always liked to call Oscar Sundqvist kind of the head of the train, the engine, when he was here that first time. And I still think from a physical standpoint, give you everything he got. Oscar Sundqvist still defines the style of play that Craig Berube wants. But just in terms of how he can impact every aspect of this game, a healthy, confident Pavel Buchnevich is enormous for this team.
Kerbs, they shot the puck over the weekend. One thing that we've been screaming about, and when you shoot the puck, good things happen. Is that something that they have really taken notice of and really made an extra effort to do?
Well, there's one caveat to that, Terry. It's get it on net.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So the difference between the last couple of games and say the first 6 or 7 of the year, maybe even 8, is the fact that when they were getting a scoring opportunity, they either weren't taking the shot or they were taking the shot and it was missing the net or going wide or getting blocked. Mm-hmm. Now these shots are getting on net and they're going through, and they took advantage in Colorado of a goaltender that's struggling, of a team that's scuffling. Colorado was 2-4. After Colorado won the first 6 games of the season, and then was 2-4 before that game, and now 2-5. They're struggling a bit. The Blues did what you need to do. That's take advantage of a team, even if it's supposed to be a top team, that's in one of those kind of ruts. And they did it by just firing the puck and getting it on net, and that's a huge step. They had only had 30 shots. Well, it was 35 actually, but it was They only had more than 30 shots on goal once in their first 8 games, and now have done it in 4 of their last 5. So that tells you where things are going, while still being quite stingy defensively.
Kerbs, obviously the offense stealing the show in that victory, but how key was Jordan Bennington in the game, but also in that first period to help them get off to the hot start?
Jordan Bennington is the key to the whole season, in my book. Just the key to the whole season. If you're going to make the playoffs, you're going to make the playoffs because Jordan Bennington is a top 10 goaltender in the league. And I firmly believe he could easily be a top 5 goalie in the league. And especially with the fact that this team is not giving up a lot of second chance opportunities, I think he's had a terrific start. But that first period, after the Blues scored the first goal, Braden Shen got that first goal at 2 minutes, 16 seconds in. And then Colorado put a push on, and they came hard. And you could tell that they were charged from their coach to get the puck to the front of the net, just create havoc in front of the net, and they did. And Jordan Bennington was huge throughout that whole first period, and that gave his team a chance to get the second goal, build on it. And what happens, as you guys know, is even the good teams, once you put the pressure on, it's a different game. Once Colorado has to chase that game 2-0, once they've got to chase it 3-1, it's a totally different game. And if a team is struggling, they start to think, oh, here we go again. And even good teams can snowball the wrong way. And that's exactly what happened in that game. I mean, and Jared Bednar just fed it to his team after the game, talking about how embarrassing it was and guys quit on the game. And that's what happens sometimes when you pile on and have the goaltending like the Blues did.
Hey, Kerbs, we are very reactionary here in this studio. As you know, we're talk radio people. And we wonder when you get off to a slow start and things aren't looking good, we wonder about every coach, and especially in hockey, if they've lost the year. If people haven't seen the video yet at STLBlues.com, and the Blues put it on social media, of the way the players reacted after Craig Berube got his 200th win. They were thrilled for him, and you can tell that there's still quite a connection between Chief and the team.
Randy, I did an interview with Braden Shen for our Kerbside Reaction podcast, that we put up. And in there, he was talking about, and I asked him specifically about just the mood of this team and the vibe of this team after 12, 13 games. He said, we're building something. He goes, we've got a lot of good things going. There's this, there's that. And when you're around that every day, you see it kind of happening. That's why at 500, one game over 500, you're actually thinking, hey, this team's in a pretty good spot right now, because there's still some adjustment going on. The one thing that has been consistent is they'll fight for this head coach. He's a very good head coach. I have not seen, personally myself with the St. Louis Blues, a coach that has brought young players along better than Craig Berube in the last 24 years. And if there's a guy I think that can definitely bridge this team through this transition, I have zero doubt in my mind that Craig Berube can do it. And I think one of the things that you look at is when they let go of Mike Van Ryn, and he became the scapegoat of last season, right? And Craig Berube left it up to, Doug Armstrong left it up to Craig Berube to pick who's going to be his assistant coach. Berube ran that process, and he settled in on Mike Weber. And it's not a guy that he had a previous relationship with. Now, Steve Ott did. Steve Ott knew him well. Mike Weber actually billeted with Steve Ott's parents, right? And but it was through that process. And then they looked at everything they did last year, and they came up with, here's the kind of the system we want to play. Here's how we're going to implement things. Here's what we're going to ask guys to do. And right from day one of training camp, there has been a battle for each other mentality. I asked, after 2 or 3 days of camp, I asked Jake Neighbors about how camp has gone, and he started laughing. He goes, man, it's been a battle already. And that's the way it goes. And they're now starting to see some early season feels of success there, and that's because of the head coach. I think the Blues have a terrific head coach, and you know what? There's definitely no vibe missed in terms of that locker room in connection with their coaching staff.
And Kerbs, one more thing, and we're talking about great coaches. I might have learned more about the sport from a Blues coach from Ken Hitchcock than anybody else. He goes into the Hall of Fame today. He'll have his induction speech in Toronto. What an incredible hockey mind Ken Hitchcock is.
Yeah, not only a hockey mind, and he motivated differently than some others, but he found ways to win. And I mean, listen, the number of times you'd hear a player tell a story of, they were just yelling back at the head coach, and it didn't. Okay, here's a story I don't know if you guys heard about. This one's fantastic. All right? Now, I'll begin it with this, though. When Doug Armstrong made the decision to change from Davis Payne to Ken Hitchcock, he went into the locker room and he told the players, okay, I now know I have a really good coach, so it's all going to be about you guys. Like, if we don't win, it's not about the coach, it's about the players, right? And the Blues don't win a Stanley Cup without the job that Ken Hitchcock did, bringing them along in that 2016 conference final run. But like I said, he could motivate in a different way and frustrate the heck out of guys, all right? There's a song out there, you guys, the Blank You song. You know which one I'm talking about? Okay, we land from Buffalo, right? We land from Buffalo into Pittsburgh, and by the time we're on the bus, it's like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. We're taking the bus to the hotel from the airport, and we just had the one bus that trip because there was no local TV on that one, so it's just us radio guys sitting on that bus. Somebody started playing that song, and then a bunch of the players from the back of the bus, like the whole bus, started going, "Blank you Hitch," right? I mean, and it was something. And guys, I was not sitting side by side with Ken Hitchcock, but I guarantee you, while some people might have been going, "I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe what's going on," I guarantee you, Ken Hitchcock probably had a wry smile on his face going, "I got him now, boys. We're going to go on a run." And he knew that and appreciated it. And that's one thing I did love about him. He didn't care. He had a mission, and he got the best out of players.
Well, and legend has it that one time that year, he like you said, he would grate on players. And one time he walked into the room and started talking, and Troy Brouwer said, "Why don't you just go away for a few days?" and he did. And he didn't bother him for like 3 days, right?
He did. No, that actually happened. And at one point, Ken was barking at Troy on the ice, and Troy skated in front of a bench during a game and said, "Hitch, will you shut the blank up?" And hey, but listen, you can't beat. I mean, the fact and the video of this, fans got to go back and sometimes we had to remind ourselves that how many years have passed, right, since some of this stuff happened. But when Elise Butler, who does a terrific job on our social media team, and the Blues had that comeback in Colorado, and she meant to type in on Twitter, "The Blues roar back in Colorado," like we were down 4-1 or something like that, win the game. Her computer, her phone, auto-corrected back to Bacon. And that's when all of a sudden Roar Bacon became like a huge thing. Like, people were submitting designs for T-shirts, okay? And I mean, it was unreal. So David Backus comes in. He had a neighbor that had a pet pig. Right? And so David Backus literally shows up to the rink one morning with Piggy Smalls. That was the name of the pig. And he carries in, which, if you think about it, Roar Bacon, the pig's like, "I don't consider my insides bacon. It's not till you eat me," right? But he brings in this pig, and this pig's walking around the locker room. He's carrying in the reaction stuff. Well, he carries, and the team cut videos, he carries the pig into Ken Hitchcock's office, and you hear Hitch yelling at Backus, "Get that thing out of here!" And in the meantime, now the pig just starts pooping, and the pig is pooping, and you know, like pig poop looks like it's just those little pellets. I mean, and it doesn't come out like a dog, right? It just comes out like a machine gun, right? So this pig's little tail lifts up, right? And it's just pooping all over Ken Hitchcock's office. And Hitchcock yelling, "Get that thing out of here!" It's just absolute gold.
Epic. That's fantastic. Kerb's, always good to talk to you. We will see you at the rink tomorrow.
All right, guys. Thanks. Have an awesome week.
You too. Take care. Chris Kerber with us on 101 ESPN. And congratulations to Ken Hitchcock. He was one of my favorites because every single day he would have a little anecdote to teach you about hockey. And he made me a better hockey fan just because I had the opportunity to be around him. Coming up on 101 ESPN, it is the fight. I lost on Friday, right? So there's a guy coming back?
Yeah, Randy.
Yeah.
Randy is coming.
Oh, Randy.
Oh, it's
yeah,
Randy. Yeah, Randy versus Randy.
All right, good. We're looking forward to that. The fight next on 101 ESPN. Hey guys, did you know that Mentality provides a breakthrough treatment to help you regain normal function and restore your ability to perform normally at all levels, whether it is physical or mental? The things that happen at Mentality allow you to be the guy that you were when you were younger. If you are fatigued and tired all the time, feeling anxious might be an issue with low T, but also decreased mental acuity and attention span and stress causes focus issues on even the most simple tasks. Well, those are problems that can be solved when you go to Mentality in Chesterfield and South County. Get started at lowtusa.com. And at Mentality, what they're going to do is find out where your testosterone level is, and then they have an FDA-approved treatment that will get it back to where your testosterone level was in your 20s. And they're going to work with your insurance company to make sure that you have the lowest out-of-pocket expenses possible. Thousands of guys in St. Louis have used Mentality and have gotten back in the game and gotten back to the guy they want to be with the energy to get through workouts and get through 18 holes of walking golf. It is a difference maker at Mentality. Get started now at lowtusa.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues with a big win over the weekend against the Avalanche, 8-2. Hat tricks for both Braden Shen and Pavel Buchnevich. Blues are off today. They'll face off against the Tampa Bay Lightning tomorrow. Also over the weekend, a big win for Missouri over Tennessee, 36-7. Cody Schrader with 205 rushing yards and 116 receiving yards, becoming the first SEC player to ever rush for 200 and catch passes for over 100 in the same game. Also over the weekend, wins all around for the basketball teams as SLU, Missouri, and Illinois all came away with victories. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Kerry Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter for the second day is Randy. Randy, how you doing?
Good. Not driving today, so I'm helping y'all out.
Very good. Very nice. Are you ready to take on Randy Kerber again?
Do it again. Yes, let's try this again.
All right, here we go. Just counting their time in St. Louis, 1995 to 2015, who led the Rams in interceptions with 26? Is it O.J. Atagwe, Keith Lyle, or Todd Light?
Ooh, I'll go with Todd Light.
Okay, question number 2. There are only 2 players in Mizzou history with more all-purpose yards than Schrader's 321 on Saturday. Devin West versus Kansas in 98. And which Pinkel-era playmaker? Is it Henry Josie, Jeremy Maclin, or Denario Alexander?
Wow, going back here. I'll go with Alexander.
When the Redskin kicker Mark Mosley won the MVP award in 1982, which quarterback, who would never win an AP MVP, finished second with 2 votes? Is it Dan Fouts, Ron Jaworski, or Ken Anderson?
Can you give me the choices again? Sorry.
Dan Fouts, Ron Jaworski, or Ken Anderson?
I'll go with Anderson.
Which eventual national championship team did Mizzou lose to in the infamous flea kicker game? Was it Nebraska, Colorado, or Texas?
Colorado.
All right, we'll double-check our score, and we will bring in Randy Kerber.
Randy, how you feel?
Oh, that was a little not what I was hoping for NFL, but I didn't get enough. I'm all right, though.
Randy, Rocc is good at that. He tends to know what the listener wants and goes the exact opposite. It's pretty amazing.
Sure does. Good for him.
Yes.
Good for him.
Randy, say hello to Randy.
Randy, good morning. How you doing?
Good, Randy. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. I was just lamenting my fantasy football loss last night.
Who'd you lose to?
I lost to Graham Francis.
Oh, no.
I went ahead on the drive in which Seattle won their game. DK Metcalf caught a couple of passes, so I texted Grant and I said, I think I got you. And he said, no, I got Devontae Adams going. And I was hoping Devontae Adams would get hurt on the first snap of the game. But then he catches like a 42-yard pass to beat me.
This is a great game for Devontae Adams.
So I was with Bradford Bruns lamenting.
I'm
team
sorry.
is I'm doing pretty well.
You got a good team.
Yeah, I'm 7-2. I'm
Yep.
rolling along. All right, Randy. Kerber.
I'm ready.
Here we go. Just counting their time in St. Louis, 1995 to 2015, who led the Rams in interceptions with 26?
26 as a Ram.
A St. Louis Ram.
St. Louis Ram.
There you go.
One guy who had a lot was O.J. Atagwe. I don't think Janoris in those 3 years, 12, 13, 14, 15, I don't think that he got to 26. Maybe Keith Lyle. Definitely wasn't one of the early guys, like early corners, Light or Dexter or, you know who it might have been? I'll do the lifeline here.
O.J. Atagwe, Keith Lyle, Todd Light.
I'll go with Atagwe. I was thinking the guy
Jason Sehorn?
No, McNeil, the guy who, number 47, who called himself the best cornerback in the league.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
No. Yeah, he was. He
was not the best cornerback.
He was not the best cornerback in the league.
Shoot.
Question number 2. There are only 2 players in Mizzou history with more all-purpose yards than Schrader's 321 on Saturday. Devin West versus Kansas in 98. And which Pinkel-era playmaker?
It almost had to be Jeremy Maclin. I can't think of anybody else that would have done it because he was returning kicks and punt returns and all of that stuff. So I'll go with Maclin.
All right, Randy. When Redskin kicker Mark Mosley won the MVP award in 1982, which quarterback who would never win an AP MVP finished second by 2 votes?
1982.
Yes.
Mosley wins. Okay, so we've got a strike season. We've got, obviously, Joe Theismann there. Never won an MVP.
Changed his name, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, so that he could try to win the Heisman. It was Theismann when he went to Notre Dame, and then their marketing department changed it to Theismann.
Pretty good.
So 82, you would have had David Woodley for the Dolphins, and I don't think that was it. I think that's who they played in the Super Bowl that year. Bradshaw was pretty much done by that time. Stabler was pretty much done by that time. Burt Jones, I don't think was great. It could have theoretically been Joe Theismann. Never won an MVP. It was not Neil Lomax. I don't think he ever finished second in the MVP. He was the Cardinals quarterback at the time. Not Phil Simms. Didn't play enough games. Let me just run through a couple of teams here. Wasn't one of the Cowboys guys. East, Central, West. We didn't have a North, South, East, West. We just had the East, Central, and West divisions. This guy never won an MVP. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't Joe Montana. Okay. I will go with... This is hard. You know who I'll go with? I'll go with Warren Moon. I'll go with Warren Moon. I always like those second place MVPs questions.
Yeah.
Those are your favorite, huh?
Those are fun.
I'm sorry. Final question. Which eventual national championship team did Mizzou lose to in the infamous flea kicker game?
Nebraska. Kick 6. Nebraska Cornhuskers. Final answer.
The Cornhuskers.
Kenny.
That was a pretty fun question.
Kenny Davison. Kenny Davis.
Yes. Davison or Davidson?
I think Davison.
I think you're right. There is no D. That's why it's always throwing me off because there's no D in there. So in today's fight, Randy on the phone came in looking for his second win to try to go to a Hall of Fame round tomorrow on Tuesday. Was he successful, or does a weekend of rest for Megamind give him enough to take him down? Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
Just win, baby.
I'm sorry, Randy on the phone. You lost to Randy in the studio 2-0 today.
Wow. Good job, Randy.
Thank you. Good job by you.
Wasn't there today.
It was a tricky one, like you said. In just their time in St. Louis, 95 to 2015, who led the Rams in interceptions with 26? O.J. Atagwe put up 22. In just his St. Louis Rams career, Todd Light had 24, but Keith Lyle had 26 in his St. Louis Rams career, 28 in his total Rams career, with 2 in 94 before they would move. There are only 2 players in Mizzou history with more all-purpose yards than Schrader's 321 on Saturday. Devin West versus Kansas in 98, and it was, in fact, Jeremy Maclin who has the biggest biggest one ever. When Redskins kicker Mark Mosley won the MVP award in 1982, which QB, who would never win an AP MVP, finished second by 2 votes? He was the Pro Football Writers Association MVP that year, but he would never win an AP. It was Dan Fouts who finished 2 votes behind Mark Mosley. Joe Theismann won the AP MVP in 83. And which eventual national championship team did Mizzou lose to in the infamous flea kicker game, also known as the Kick Six? It was, in fact, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. By the way, a little bit earlier, Doug Gilmore and Mark Hunter were the last Blues to both have hat tricks on the same day. The first ones to ever do it, Larry Patey and Tony Curry, did it in 1980 in the same game. So there's your 3 pairings for the Blues. Again, I thought a little bit too out there for the fight. But in today's fight, Randy Carricker, a 2-0 win over Randy. Randy, thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today.
Thank you.
Randy, good job, Randy. Which do you love more? Is it the touchdowns by Vrabel, who's a linebacker, or is it the second place MVP?
Both good questions.
I always love. I always love. Okay, so
I retain both good questions.
My Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Of great questions?
Yeah.
Okay, good to me. What you got?
Okay, second place MVP.
Okay.
Yes.
Any sport.
Nice.
Any question about the home run derby?
He hates those. He does hate those.
Those are the worst. Any WNBA question?
Okay.
Oh.
Made that mistake.
Candace Parker.
There you go.
That's the answer?
That's my default.
Cheryl Swoops. Cheryl Swoops. Lisa Leslie.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I've got a few. Diana Taurasi.
There it is.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
anything where Rocc determines what's considered part of history and what's not, depending on the era.
Yep.
And then also another was the
there's just eras
division,
in
or the
sports.
division, but he didn't specify which division. That was
That was a great
favorite.
one. I
of
wasn't
mine.
in for that one. I was listening in, and I was thrilled to hear it. ALNL Central.
Yeah.
Central
You
Division.
don't remember that question?
The
I
Central
can't
Division.
remember what it was
It was a
specifically.
It was
Central
the White
Division
Sox question. It was the White Sox were the answer.
It was a
Yes.
Central Division question,
Yeah.
but the assumption was naturally
We're in St.
Central.
Louis. Yeah.
Yeah.
God forbid you got to think through 10 teams instead of 5.
No, it was
God
a gotcha.
forbid.
It was a
You got to think
gotcha.
through 10 teams instead of 5.
Now you broadened our horizons, Matthew.
There you go.
Yes.
I thought the
Better forward.
How does a kicker win MVP? Come on.
Oh, he was good, man. He was good.
Better than Dan Fouts?
well, that
couldn't have
year,
been that
they
good.
won the Super Bowl.
Randy, let me tell you something. I don't know many kickers that are more valuable than any quarterback in any league at any time.
Let me give you something here. This is fun. Let's just do a quick search of this, okay? Mark Mosley, 1982, and it was a strike season, okay? So not everybody played a lot of games, but he was the MVP because he led in scoring by a substantial margin. There's passing offense and rushing offense, kick and punt returns. Kicking, here we go. He scored in a total of 9 games. Where is it? How many points? Oh, here it is. Oh, hell, I don't know. But he outscored everybody. He was unbelievable that year.
I love the honesty. You're looking, you're fine. I don't know. Hell.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Here it is.
Who the hell
Scoring.
knows?
It's supposed to be scoring.
Randy, he missed 3 extra points.
Uh-huh.
He missed 3 extra points and he won an MVP.
How many field goals? What was his percentage?
He went 20 of 21 and he went 16 of 19 from extra points.
He only
missed
kicked
more,
21 field goals?
and he went 20
It was a strike
It was a
season.
9-game season.
What year was this?
1982. He went 20 of 21 from field goals, and he went 16 of 19 from extra points. He missed more extra points than field goals.
And if you look at their season that year, I think of all of their wins, I think he kicked game-winning field goals in the final minute for like 5 of their wins.
Yeah, but that's his job.
Well, the quarterback's job is to complete passes, isn't it?
Yeah. I bet you
All you
Dan
can do is
Fouts had
you gotta
more than
do it
21
right.
completions.
Well, that's his job.
Yeah. Well, I know.
So I didn't vote. Coming up next, who are the real Blues? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Kerry for STL Design and Build, and if you are looking for some work done around your house, you need to reach out to them today. As I've told you all, I got my deck done, and it is fabulous. They not only do decks, they do siding, they do interior work. You need to check them out. STL Design and Build is a company that has won Top Workplace Award. They have also won the best company for the work that they've done in their field. They are great people. My project coordinator, Becky, did a fantastic job of keeping me up to date and in the loop with all of the details of my deck and the ins and outs and what was going on. They use the Builder Trend app, which allows me to go on there and apply or approve anything that they're doing, deny anything that I don't want done. And it's as simple as opening up your phone and going to Facebook or Snapchat. It's so simple. Check them out today, stldesignandbuild.com. The STL obviously stands for St. Louis because that's where they're located, but it also stands for Sky's the Limit. They want to give their clients the best product available. So check them out today, stldesignandbuild.com.
Top of the circle in the Colorado zone on the power play. Kyrou behind the net. Holds. Finds Thomas, far side. Shen. One-timer. He scores! If you've got a hat, chuck it at your radio. Braden Shen with his 4th career hat trick. And the St. Louis Blues with back-to-back power play goals. It's stolen away by Thomas. Buchnevich, shorthanded breakaway. Buchnevich in, shoots, he scores! If you've got another hat, chuck it at your radio. It's a hat trick for Pavel Buchnevich, his 3rd career hat trick. And this one tonight, 2 shorthanded goals and a power play goal.
Special teams were really good. I think, our kill got a couple shorties out of it and, scored a couple big power play goals in the 3rd period. But overall, I thought it was a good team effort. Getting to an early start and scoring early. Our goaltender was really solid, too.
That's Chief Craig Berube after the Blues dominated the Avalanche on Saturday night, an 8-2 victory. The Blues started off 3-4-1, and in their first 8 games averaged 1.75 goals per game. Since that 3-4-1 start, the Blues have gone 4-1, and they've averaged 4.4 goals a game. In the streak of 5 games, they've averaged exactly what the league-leading Vancouver Canucks in scoring average at 4.4 per game. So the question becomes, who are the real Blues? Is it the Blues we saw in the first 8 games? Is it the Blues we've seen in the last 5? Somewhere in between, as Chris Kerber told us, Braden Shen told him, we're building something here. And it was for the first 8 games, apparently early in the season, and they're still building towards something.
They are building towards something. I would like to think that this is going to be more indicative of what we're going to see. I don't think they're going to have an 8-goal performance every single night.
Why not?
Well, that would be a little crazy and hard to do, as much as I would like for it to happen.
Maybe?
Yeah. I don't know if you see that too often. I don't know if you can expect for 2 players to have hat tricks every game. I know. But I still think that there is a lot of positives to take away. And the power play has been a big concern. Special teams, when you look at that, we know that that has been such a big part of the Blues over the years when it comes to their recent success. And for any team, you need to have a good power play. And for them to break through in this game going 2 for 4, and the PK was tremendous, killing 3 of Colorado's power plays, and they were able to get 2 shorthanded goals out of that. I think that there's a lot of positives, and I think that they are growing in the direction. And maybe, just maybe, because I know that another team here in town said that, you need to have patience. Maybe with the Blues, we did need to have a little bit more patience with them.
Well, I think just the amount of effort that they played with, that they have been playing with, is what they have lacked in the games that they've lost. It's the effort, the energy, because you see it some nights, and then on the games that they lose, you're like, who the hell are these guys? You're trying to figure it out. And I think the game against the Avalanche was a great game from start to finish. You got a couple of guys getting hat tricks. You got guys shooting pucks. You got a team that is taking more shots than they're facing, which is all of the things that you've been concerned about. Power play. They finally got a goal. They got 2 of them. They doubled up their total for the season in one game. And so you're looking at all of the things. And then the defense is still playing extremely well, which was really the main concern last year. So this team may be better than we've thought, but it's just the consistency that we need to see over and over and over again. Now, they're not going to score 8 goals a game, as you said, but the consistency to play. That's what she said. The consistency to play.
Randy,
great defense.
Just out of nowhere.
I didn't say it. If they start scoring 8 goals a game, I'm not going to be associated with that.
To play a great game in which they have, I think that they are trending in the right direction.
They are, and they have caught up with Philadelphia for a tie now for 31st in the NHL in power play percentage at 7.7. Yeah. So they got that going for them, which is nice. And they do score empty net goals or shorthanded goals, which was great to see Buchnevich do that. And the big thing is, and Carrie, you were concerned, and the number of shots that they give up is not what we're used to, but they aren't giving up great opportunities. Yeah. Binnington and Hofer are seeing pretty much everything that comes their way, and the Blues are converting now their defensive opportunities into offense, and 42 shots the other night, and I believe in the 5-game stretch they have except for the loss to Winnipeg, in their 4 wins in the last 5 games, they have outshot the opponent at each of those victories.
It's amazing. I mean, the things that I'm sure people listen to what we talk about. They have people in that building that are listening, taking one-timers, getting close in the slot. You're not just passing the puck around. You're actually shooting it, and good things tend to happen. And I talked with Jamie about it on Friday. One thing about taking one-timers is when the puck is passed to you, normally the goalie is sliding over to get back in front. There's a crease, there's a window, there's a spot to shoot that puck and get it in there before he gets settled in. So it helps. And they're doing that. They're making a conscious decision to take those shots. And if it doesn't go in, at least it's on goal and they get rebounds. So I think that they're doing a fantastic. Toropchenko's goal is probably one of the best examples of that, because it's a shot on goal and it's lingering, it's just hanging around the goalie, and you're just pushing, sticking at it and pushing it into the net. And so that's what they need to do, and that's who they need to be.
It just really boils down to, we've been waiting for these guys to all click together at the same time. There's been moments where maybe one person is doing enough, or we even talked about Jordan Binnington early on in the season. He was the one that was just really driving the Blues, but it couldn't all be on him. You have Torrey Krug, points in 3 straight games. Justin Falk with a 2-point game and now has points in 4 of 5. Robert Thomas with a 4-point game, 4 assists in that game. And then Jordan Binnington, he was so key in that first period with 13 saves and in the entire game. And when they get off to a hot start, that's something that it seems to be a big catalyst for them. The Blues, when they've scored first in, let me see, wait, here it is. When the Blues have scored first, they've won 6 games. So there's something about them getting off to this hot start. Jordan Binnington, as Kerbs was saying, was a big part of that. And also just controlling the neutral zone. Because you saw in that Jets game, they didn't do a good job of that, but they were able to do that against the Avs.
And the Blues will take on the Tampa Bay Lightning tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Pregame here on 101 ESPN, 7 o'clock with the face-off with Kerbs and Joey. Coming up, we've got our rush hour reset. Quite a victory for Mizzou. That's coming your way on 101 ESPN. Perhaps you want to simply upgrade your home with new gutters for a new look, or maybe you had a tree fall against your gutter and you need new gutters. Well, if that's the case, if you need gutters or you want gutters, you need to get in touch with gutterpros.com, G-U-T-T-E-R, gutterpros.com, A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, 4.9 out of 5 stars in their reviews. It's a great St. Louis company, and they can do so much. They can put any size gutter on your home. If you want to upgrade the size of your gutter, a lot of times when your house is built, they put the smallest and least expensive gutters on. At Gutter Pros, they can put the best gutters on that will provide your house the best drainage. Plus, they do a lot of great things outside of just the gutters. They'll take care of you with soffit and fascia and make everything look great. At Gutter Pros, they'll cover an area of about 50 miles around downtown. They'll go further if needed, provide you a free estimate, and they're great St. Louis people. They're all about St. Louis. They care about you, and they care about doing the job right. So, if you need new gutters, or you just want new gutters, you want something that's a better look, check out the website, gutterpros.com. Fill out a form for a free estimate at gutterpros.com.
The biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
All right, we aren't going to get Carrie to say it, but Brooke and Matthew will. M-I-Z-Z-O-U. 9:06 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex
You
jeweler.
don't want Carrie to say it?
there?
Mizzou.
Sorry, Randy, can you give me one more? Sorry, just one more.
M-I-Z.
NY6.
Oh, New Year's Six bowl game.
Get on the train, Gary. Let's go. Come on,
man.
They played a great game.
Look
this
how happy
weekend.
you are.
I'm
So happy.
They probably a Missouri booster over there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I do pay them money. So, yeah, sort of, kind of.
Yep. 9:06 time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Eli Drinkwitz team now 8-2. They'll take on Florida Saturday night at Faroe Field. And by the way, that game is a 6:30 start, and the Tigers are an 11-point favorite over the Gators. Go. Do you Middle Tennessee uses that too, don't they? The and Florida, they say go Gators, and you guys say go Raiders, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
but we don't exactly do the.
Oh no, because you aren't Gators.
No, no, we aren't. We are the Blue Raiders. If you guys don't remember that team,
I saw.
They put up a good fight against Mizzou. I will
best fight
say
of any Tennessee team.
I sent you guys the graphic that they had, and look, I will always give credit to a team that deserves it. Mizzou has done really well against Tennessee teams, but it was painful to see that graphic that I sent you guys this weekend.
Tennessee State champs.
Yeah, where they put the Tennessee Waltz, and the way that Mizzou has dominated against Tennessee teams this season, and. What can I say?
There's
nothing else I can say.
Who else is there? Austin Peay? They didn't have them.
you played Middle Tennessee, and then you played Memphis, and then you played Vanderbilt, and then you played Tennessee, and they waltzed all over all those Tennessee teams.
How is radio in Tennessee today?
Probably just insufferable and angry because you have the Titans and CD, we talked about the Titans and their
Titans do
O-line.
this weekend?
Terrible. We don't have to talk about that. There's a reason I didn't bring it up in my 4 downs, okay? And then Tennessee losing in that manner, not even close. Mizzou just absolutely dominated them in every way.
And Eli Drinkwitz was asked, is this the most complete game you've seen from your team?
Yeah, there's zero doubt about that. Really proud of those guys. You know, a little bit of nerves there when we were settling for field goals, but just because I knew how quickly they could score. But, really didn't have to worry about it today the way our defense was playing.
And Mizzou, defensively and offensively and on special teams, played with somewhat of an edge.
I think we all had a little edge to us tonight because of the crowd and the excitement and the energy they brought.
Yeah, 4th straight sellout for Mizzou. It's the first time in like 40 years that they've sold out 4 consecutive home games.
We've given a lot of credit to the offense. Cody Schrader, Brady Cook, all of those guys. With good reason. But Missouri's defense, holding Jalen Wright to under 100 yards. 3 of their losses that the Tennessee Volunteers have had this year, he had under 100 yards, and that was the recipe. They were the number 3 leading team in rushing in the country. If you could stop them, and I will here's another thing, a 20-play drive for Mizzou. They got a field goal. That's a long drive to start that game off, and Tennessee only had 3 plays. They were 3 and out, and so that offense is sitting on the sideline for a long time. 20 plays for Mizzou, got a field goal. You wanted to score, but Mizzou did a really good job, especially in the first half, of holding on to that football, taking care of game management, taking care of the clock, eating up time, and forcing that Tennessee offense to stand on the sideline and watch.
And I still think that this is the best win in the Eli Drinkwitz era, the manner of which they were able to do it. And we talked about it earlier. I think that you just really define what makes this a statement win. So I think that it's the questions that were asked prior to the game and what were answered, the questions answered after the game. We talked about that earlier. The big question was who was going to win the battle in the trenches, and Mizzou absolutely dominated with Cook, with Schrader, all their weapons that they had. And that's a Tennessee defense that going in was the number 1 ranked rush defense in the SEC. And the fact that they didn't look like it is a testament to Eli Drinkwitz, to Kirby Moore, everything they're building there at Mizzou.
And Mizzou also had the good fortune of being able to play Tennessee at home. Last 2 years, Mizzou had allowed 66 and 62 to the Volunteers. So finally, Eli is able to get some revenge.
Crud, yeah. Yeah, you went from giving up the most points to keeping them to their least amount of points. So that's a pretty good swing right there. Nice job, Bake.
Crud, yeah. You see, when you say crud, yeah, you kind of do it like this. Crud, yeah.
A couple of other notes for you on our rush hour reset. Mississippi State fired their coach Zach Arnett today. He was in his first year. He replaced Mike Leach after the untimely death of Leach last offseason. So both coaches from the Texas A&M win over Mississippi State on Saturday now have been fired within 48 hours of that game.
Might be unheard of, especially after a 51-point outing for Texas A&M to fire their head coach and say, you know what, we'll just eat this $70+ million and find a new coach, new ball coach. We don't, money is nothing to us. We'll figure it out.
They flaunted that with that check that they brought out at halftime. And they said that they already knew earlier in the week it was going to happen. And I think they purposely, I don't know, maybe this is just me making a conspiracy theory, but you bring out that check at halftime that, what was it, over $100 million? The boosters?
Right?
Yeah, 160. To maybe show fans look, we're about to, you don't know what's about to happen, but we do. So don't worry. We have this big old check that we're going to show you guys. Everything's fine.
I don't think that there's enough money to buy Texas A&M a championship.
Obviously not.
I think they're going to try. They're going to spend money. I mean, they fired Sumlin, and Sumlin's record was essentially the same as Jimbo Fisher's. They want to win desperately, but it's.
They're unrealistic, aren't they?
I think so, because when you look at the state of Texas, UT is going to get the guys, and then you have some of those guys, because of the rivalry, they're going to go across the state, and they're going to go to Oklahoma, and now, those teams are going to be in the SEC as well. You always have to look at the state school and see where people are going. Now, Texas A&M is a good draw. College Station, I've gone to a game down there. It is amazing. Like the fan interaction, they travel well. I've gone to a game. One of my friends coached for Texas A&M for a while. I've gone to a game there. I've gone to a game in Dallas that they played in. They travel well. They are going to show up and show out, but it just feels like it's hard to really get over that hump that they have, and especially in the SEC. It's a tough task to be the LSUs, the Alabamas, the Georgias of the world year in and year out. It starts with recruiting, but then it finishes up with really good coaching and developing. And as much as we talk about Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, those guys are great in recruiting, but they are really great in developing players and really getting them to be the best players that they can be.
Just hit me. If you're willing to pay players the most, like A&M is, and you want to compete with and beat these guys, hire Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
At your own risk.
Yeah, but if you really want to win, they don't care about anything but
clearly.
winning. So
clearly.
Hire Urban Meyer. One other note for you. By the way, we have Monday Night Football, Bills and Broncos, 6:30 pregame here on 101 ESPN. Yesterday, when Houston kicker Matt Amendola hit the 38-yard field goal on the final play to lift Houston to the 30-27 win over the Bengals, a bettor in Florida won $5.5 million on a $500,000 four-leg parlay. He put $500,000 down on a parlay and took home $5.5 million. He needed Houston to beat the Bengals. He needed the Texans-Bengals game to go over 44.5. He needed Devin Singletary of the Texans to score a touchdown, and he needed Singletary to go over 51.5 rushing yards. He put $500,000 on that.
Wow.
And won 5.5.
I would hate to see how many bets he's made like that and not one.
Oh, man.
sure there are more.
Yeah. You have Devin Singletary, don't you, Brooke, on your team?
I think
Maybe
I
not.
do.
Wow.
Let me see. I don't think I do anymore.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no, I do.
Okay,
Yes, I do.
yeah.
I should have known that. But yes, he...
Yeah, so because Brooke and I made a trade last week, and I looked at Devin Singletary and said, no, he sucks.
I'm sorry, guys. I have such an explosive offense. I had Josh Dobbs. I have Keenan Allen.
He was great yesterday.
Yes. Singletary. And who else? Conklin.
Did you win?
Yes.
Good.
Against Anthony.
Oh, well, Anthony's kind of scuffling this year.
Has he won a game yet?
I don't know.
Anthony,
He's
text
won
us.
one.
Let us know.
He's won one game.
Oh, okay.
And I
Sorry
couldn't
about
let that
buddy.
happen.
Yeah.
So
There is your Rush Hour Reset on 101 ESPN. Next up, with Texas A&M having so much money and being on the hunt, should we be worried about them coming after Drinkwitz? It's next on 101 ESPN. Headed to the Blues game tomorrow, and one of the most convenient things about heading to a Blues game that you can make convenient for yourself is using Metrolink. You can catch a station, whether it's in Illinois or whether it's Clayton, Richmond Heights, maybe over by the airport. If you want to get there and avoid traffic and avoid having to pay for parking, Metrolink is a great way to go. And not only is it great for sporting events, which many of us use Metrolink for, but, Brooke, there's other things that you can use Metro for that make it great for our town.
That's right, Randy. Even if you haven't given Metro a try yet, it's something that I can promise you other places wish they had available. I mean, look, I'm from Nashville, and right now they're having a huge traffic issue, one of the worst in the entire country. So that's why I'm saying there's many benefits even if you don't ride. A healthy and vibrant public transportation system helps attract businesses to come here and creates a significant amount of jobs for the region. And of course, it helps many people get to their job. So make sure you go and give Metro a chance and experience the benefits for yourself, Randy.
In short, thanks to Metro, you don't have to drive to thrive.
I didn't know if you...
Firing of Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, we haven't seen Eli Drinkwitz's name associated with the Aggies. But if people start turning Texas A&M down, Eli Drinkwitz is going to be the hot name in college football. If he gets his team into a New Year's Six bowl game, if Mizzou goes 10-2, I have to believe that schools are going to start coming after him with money. Now, when Gary Pinkel was at Mizzou and Michigan came, he said, nope, don't have any interest, didn't even go and talk to them ultimately. He was asked to, but he didn't. But that was a bigger job, and he said, I've got my job here. I don't know if Eli Drinkwitz's roots are so deep in Columbia right now that if offered a boatload of money, if he would turn it down. I just don't know what his aspirations are. He talks about having the best job in the SEC, but if you get an offer of $95 million, that could change.
Yeah, well, yes, and here's the fortunate thing for Mizzou fans. He's not on the list right now, and whomever the Texas A&M Aggies go after, they're going to offer a number that person will be. It'll be hard to refuse. Now, I don't think Dan Lanning would leave Oregon for Texas A&M. He got Nike back in them. Mm-hmm. There is so much to appreciate in Oregon. Going to Texas A&M would, in my opinion, be a step back. Now, if you're looking at a coach like Duke head coach Mike Elko, maybe he's a person, but I don't think that's a big enough name. But even still, some of these guys are going to use that leverage from Texas A&M to get a better deal where they are, so that they can be, planted in that place for a while. There's going to be a name that we might not be thinking about. You said Urban Meyer before the break. That's a name that, if you're trying to change your circumstances, he can do that. He's maybe not a good person, but a hell of a football coach. And I said Jim Harbaugh is a guy that is probably going to be out of Michigan at some point. Mm-hmm. You're looking for a splash head coach, a guy that has had success at the highest level. Both of those guys have done that. Both of those guys are probably looking for new places to coach at. And so it's going to be an intriguing one. I don't think that Drink is going to be anywhere on that list.
And the buyout for Drink to leave for a school like A&M is a pittance. After December 1st of this year, the number will be $5 million for him to.
Oh, that's
pocket change.
That's like a recruiting. Didn't they spend? You remember when Arch Manning was visiting at? No, that was Texas. I was thinking there's a lot of money in Texas in general, but you just know that they have the money to do that, and they flaunted that. Texas A&M has. I think that it's interesting, and I understand because we have gotten text in of people concerned about Eli Drinkwitz going over to Texas A&M. I understand that because of what he's been able to really build over at Mizzou over the years and what he's done recruiting-wise. And, Randy, you mentioned earlier the fourth sellout this season. schools pay attention to that stuff. I know they don't have a problem getting fans in, but if you look at during the Barry Odom era towards the end there, you definitely see a difference in the fan support, and that's because of the product that's out on the field. People are going to be willing to spend their money to go see a good product, and Eli Drinkwitz has created that over at Mizzou. So I do think while Texas A&M maybe isn't in the conversation right now, I'm sure a lot of other programs are going to be looking at Eli Drinkwitz, and they see that $5 million buyout, and they'll say, yeah, why don't we go ahead and poach this guy?
Right. And it's incumbent upon Mizzou and the boosters at Mizzou, who have stepped up from an NIL standpoint and stepped up from a facility standpoint to make sure that they have that guy in place. And it's been a long time since Missouri lost a coach to another school. I guess you have to go back to Dan Devine for a football coach to leave Mizzou to take another job. After Devine, it was Al Onofrio and then Warren Powers. He was fired and let go. Woody Woodenhofer, Bob Stull fired. Larry Smith didn't leave to go to another school. He just kind of retired. And then it was Woody, and he retired. So it's been a long time, 40-plus years since 50 years since Missouri had a football coach leave to join another school. Of course, they have the Frank Haith era in basketball.
Yeah, they had. Didn't Quinn Snyder leave?
He got fired.
Oh, he left, all right.
Yeah, Gary Link fired him.
Was that a good decision?
Yeah.
There was stuff. There was other things.
Yeah, there was other stuff.
He was young and experienced, Gary, all right? Yeah, clearly. No, I think Missouri is in a good place to continue to build their program, continue to go in the right direction. If you can continue to get the recruits that they have been getting and get guys to not leave the state and go other places, I think you're in a good position to have success here. And with Eli,
I don't know if you're A&M. All due respect to Mike Elko, who is the defensive coordinator at A&M. Is that the move that takes you to the next level? Their athletic director said that he thought that they were stuck in neutral. Is the name Mike Elko going to fire up the Texas A&M fan base?
No. That's why it's going to be a name that we know, an established name. We had a texter from the 636. Why would Jim Harbaugh leave Michigan unless it's for the NFL? There's a lot of money in Texas. Then there is not a team, organization in the NFL that will match what he can make in College Station at Texas A&M. So that would be one reason why anybody is on the table, because they're going to pay a lot of money. Even if you don't have success, as Jimbo just showed you, you'll get paid to walk away.
And at Michigan, they talk a lot. I don't know if they really practice what they preach, but they talk a lot about integrity. You don't have to worry about that at A&M. You never hear A&M and integrity in the same
Ohio
sentence.
State? I mean, Urban Meyer?
Yeah.
That's not
whatever you need to do, man.
Yeah, right. You just get us wins.
Hey, we'll figure the rest out later.
Yeah. At Ohio State, Urban Meyer won 90% of his games. That'd be pretty good. Urban Meyer and Nick Saban together again, playing against each other every year. That'd be great.
I can really see that happening. And it doesn't matter because they have enough money in the world. If you're a head coach or if you're looking for a job or you want to get away from whatever program that you're with, wouldn't you be lining up for this job knowing that even if you get fired, that's the type of money that you're going to get?
Knocking at the door. You need a coach? I ain't got a coach for you. Yeah. What do you need? How long you need me for?
Yep.
Win, lose, or draw? I get paid? All right.
Lose or draw? I get paid? It's the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up, as the Cardinals start the offseason, what's a happy medium? What would be a spot where they might be comfortable and we might be happy? That's next on 101 ESPN. You know, cars and trucks are really expensive these days, and that means that when you get a loan for a car or truck, that's going to be expensive too. Don't just go to the dealership and accept their financing offer. Get in touch with AutoLoanPro.com. AutoLoanPro.com has 50 lenders to help you get the very best financing. Why should you pay a point or two or three or more higher than you need to do it? You know, it's just so simple, and I never really thought about it until I met with the folks from AutoLoanPro.com. And they do great work. And it's not just so that we can get better rates, but, you know, life can put people in bad circumstances. And instead of selling you a car, Auto Loan Pro is going to help you get your life and your credit on track. Making that large purchase can be complicated. And if you've had a hiccup with your financial situation, well, AutoLoanPro.com is going to help you get back on track. They do amazing work. It's a great company here in St. Louis. If you're financing a car, there's one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro. Go to AutoLoanPro.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues over the weekend, an 8-2 win over the Avalanche. They're back in action tomorrow, facing off against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Over the weekend, Missouri with a big win over Tennessee, number 14 over number 13, as they win 36-7 in that game. And also over the weekend, college basketball. All three of your local teams get wins, as SLU and Mizzou both jump out to big wins. SLU able to keep theirs just slightly with an 80-71 win over Illinois State. But Mizzou, after a 33-26 lead at half, got doubled up 44-22 in the second half, and they fall to Memphis 70-55. On the other side, ranked Illinois beats Oakland 64-53. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
I think Cardinals fans would consider a successful offseason Yamamoto 1, Nola 2, Gray 3, right? But wouldn't we all?
Yes.
I think the Cardinals would consider it a successful offseason if they have 3 to 4 durable, quality pitchers that they can depend on. Personally, I think if the Cardinals get one of the top free agent arms, maybe top 5, a solid middle rotation upgrade, and a decent swingman, and they add a high leverage relief arm in the bullpen, I think that's a successful offseason. But really, Brooke, what will tell us if it's successful or not will be the Cardinals' record in October.
That's Katie Wood joining Brooke Grimsley on the 101 on Sports, which you can watch right now on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and go to 101 ESPN STL, and Brooke and Katie have a great conversation about the Cardinals. What do you think of that? First of all, great job. The show was great. A lot of great information there, but what do you think of that assessment?
I think that what Katie is saying is very fair. And I think that, like many fans, I want Yamamoto and I want Aaron Nola, and I want that to be their 1 and 2 starters that they go get this offseason. But also, I know that you have to be realistic. And I think that Katie has a great pulse. She was just down in those GM meetings, and that's where that interview was from. She was actually, I was able to speak to her before that stomach virus broke out at the GM meetings, and she luckily was not affected by that. But we were able to really talk about everything that was coming out in the GM meetings, including all the conversations about Yachty, that specifically too, with the whole difference between payroll and budget. Katie does a fantastic job of breaking that down, which led to what she said there, which is how she thinks the Cardinals will go about this offseason. And she also does believe, and we discussed this in the interview, that one of the starters is going to come via a trade. That seems to be something that is highly likely for the Cardinals to do this offseason.
I think that would be the best way to go about it, especially for a team that does not want or has not shown the proof that they are willing to spend a ton of money in free agency, going out, getting one of those top 5 free agent pitchers, and then going out and trading for what would be another 1 or 2 type of pitcher. I think it would be the best way to go about it for the Cardinals. And when she's talking about, arms in the bullpen or guys, I think they got some guys that they are, I would hope we get to see them at some point next year. Tink Hintz, Graceffo, McGreevy, so we know who they are. And they got guys that they brought in last year that showed up and came out and, have the potential to round out that bullpen. Maybe they are that swing pitcher that she's talking about, that swing man that she's talking about. So there are some options here, but it's going to be they have to go spend some money in free agency, get one guy, preferably 2, but if not 2, then the other one needs to be a trade.
My opinion, they need to spend big, because when people like Edmonds signed here for less, Darryl Kyle came here for less, Edgar Renteria signed a contract here for less money, Scott Rowland turned out $140 million in Philadelphia and took $90 million to come to St. Louis because of the opportunity to win. This is a team that just lost 91 games. If you're an Aaron Nola and you were in the World Series but you didn't win it, or if you're a Sonny Gray and you've never pitched in a World Series, probably aren't, but if you're that guy, or if you're Yamamoto, why are you coming to the States? You're coming over, A, to clean up financially, and B, to win. These guys are going to have so many great options because pitching is at such a premium. I think it's really unrealistic to think the Cardinals could get 2 of those guys. Maybe 1.
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult for the Cardinals because they don't have that advantage that was built in before in the Tony La Russa era.
My question would be, are the Cardinals willing to really go after a free agent pitcher if there are multiple suitors? Like, are they willing to outbid 2 other teams for a guy? They haven't shown us that they would in the past. If you got the Dodgers, or probably not the Dodgers because the money is going to be so high. But if there are a couple of teams that are similar to the Cardinals and in need of starting pitcher, and there's one guy that they all have their eyes on, would the Cardinals be willing to match or exceed that number?
Here's what I would do if I were the Cardinals, and it may or may not work, but a few years ago, 2015, they offered David Price, bandy guy, $187 million over 7 years. And the Red Sox found out about the offer, and they said, we'll give you $217 over 7, but you have to take the offer by the end of business today. And he did. And if you're the Cardinals, I think that's the way you need to operate. You have to go to Aaron Nola and say, look, we know you're looking for $230 million, or 230. You're looking for $210 million over 7 years, $30 million a year. We'll give you that. We'll give you what you're asking for, but you have to, and do it, ask them at 9 in the morning, say, but you have to answer us by close of business today. Because you have to set your limit, right? Set your price, just like you're gambling. And if he won't take it, then you move on to the next guy.
Yeah, and that's why I asked Katie, what does she think the fans' expectation is for this offseason, and what does she think realistically the Cardinals are looking at? Because I think that Cardinals fans were hoping that this would be the season that you outbid people. We've always heard the Cardinals in discussions with big-name players. They are currently, reportedly, in the conversations, and Katie confirmed this as well, that they have been in the conversations with Yamamoto. They have continued conversations with Aaron Nola and his agent. She confirmed that. We know that they can do that, but I think that a lot of people were expecting, and I'm going to put myself in this boat too, that this would be the offseason that they outbid people for those big names. I know that it doesn't exactly always pay off, and they have been willing to spend money in free agency, but it hasn't panned out. And I know that that was probably a concern they still have, but you can't let fear lead you to those decisions, and that's what worries me, because this season should garner a different response than what we've seen in previous off seasons from the Cardinals.
But I also think it's the responsibility, and we hate that word as fans, but it's the responsibility of the organization to be prudent. The Padres Peter Seidler's taken out a $50 million loan to cover the payroll that he couldn't cover, the owner of the Padres, because he went overboard. The Mets are cutting their payroll by $100 million from last season to this. And, of course, you're getting rid of both Scherzer and Verlander. But you're paying a lot of that. But they're going to cut by $100 million their payroll from the start of last season. Franchises have to be prudent in going and getting these guys. But you also have to be smart. And there's going to be some pitchers out there on the market where if you have a really good pitching coach, Cardinals, get Chris Carpenter in your dugout to work with pitchers, and taking nothing away from Dusty Springfield. He's great. But just get a guy with the cachet of a successful major league pitcher in there, and do what you used to do with Dave Duncan and resurrect some guys. Get the big name guy. Go get your $30 million a year Aaron Nola. But then I'll be more comfortable if I have a guy that's been around resurrecting pitchers that have had difficulty in recent years.
And I understand being prudent. Of course, you don't want to go out there and be just crazy with your money. You don't want to be stupid with it. But at the same time, there's something that you can't get past, and the fact that payroll does matter when it comes to success. I told you guys this stat with the Rangers. They were 8th in payroll this year. And only one team has won the World Series that was outside the top 14 in payroll since 1995, and that was the 2003 Marlins. So there is a trend, there is a pattern that payroll does matter somewhat to the success. And I know they haven't had success in free agency with some of the picks and the money that they have spent. I'm glad that they're going to keep Wilson Contreras as the catcher moving forward, but I feel like you still have your fans showing up. The fans continue to show up. They want to see something different.
One other point we need to make, though, specific to this particular conversation, and Brooke, you had this stat. The first time I heard it was from you during the season, and it was stunning to me. Before the Cardinals trades last year, their starting rotation was the second most expensive starting rotation in all of baseball. Only the Mets were paying more for their starting pitchers. That was before you traded Flaherty and Montgomery. But that's shocking that the starting pitching was so bad and they paid so much for it. And that's why I say, and it doesn't have to be Chris Carpenter. I'm just throwing that out there because I love Carp. But I do think that Blake Ahern could use some help in regards to pitching.
Well, getting good pitchers helps.
Yeah,
I mean, I've told you all time and time again, if I got good players, I look like a hell of a coach. You know, if you got the better your players are, the better your coaching is. Those two things are tied hand in hand. I think one of my concerns for the Cardinals, they continue to talk about guys that eat up innings. We don't want just guys that eat up innings. We want guys that eat up innings and perform really well. Miles Michaelis ate up a lot of innings last year. He's 4th in Major League Baseball in innings pitched. But I wouldn't say that you would re-sign up for a season like he had, nor would he. You want guys that are able to eat up innings, get you that 190 to 200 plus innings, and win games. Good innings, not just
quality innings.
And let him do it. Let Jordan Montgomery do it when you have a guy like that on your staff. Don't take him out in the. We saw him go 7 a lot with Texas once he got over there.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
that his arm. I thought it was like 5 and
just fly off.
I thought it would be done after 5 innings.
Let him do it. So there is a happy medium, I think, for the Cardinals. It'll take some time for us to emotionally reach that point where we say, okay, I'm okay with it. But I don't want them to spend a bunch of money on one guy and then not do anything else, like last offseason when they got Contreras. You can't be in the middle. You've either got to try to go for it, and you don't have to go for it by spending $700 million, but you've got to get more bodies in there that have the ability.
And make something happen via trade. You have plenty of bodies available. When you're talking about bodies available, you have that. And there's already been reports that there's teams who are desperate for position players, and you have that. That is capital that you should be able to use this offseason to make a big trade.
Coming up here on 101 ESPN, the Eagles are coming to town. I want to go to this concert. The Eagles are coming to town.
Ooh.
It's their long goodbye final tour, and they're in town on February 6th, and we're going to provide you an opportunity to win. By the way, it's not only the Eagles, but Steely Dan as well on February 6th at Enterprise Center. So, yeah, let's get some tickets, and let's give some tickets for that. Coming up next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Kerry for Window Nation. The temperatures are dropping rapidly. It is going to be bone-chillingly cold outside, and energy costs will be on the rise. Do you have old, drafty windows? Well, is your furnace working harder than ever to keep your family warm? Why pay unnecessarily high energy bills when Window Nation can help keep you and your family warm all season long? Window Nation's energy-efficient windows are specifically designed for climate changes and will keep the cold air out while lowering your monthly energy bills by up to 30%. And speaking of savings, this month only, Window Nation is offering 0% interest for 5 years. That's 60 months free. And you'll get 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Now is the perfect time for you and your family to be protected from the elements, lower your energy costs, and upgrade the look and feel of your home. Call Window Nation today. Get 0% interest for 5 years, 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Offer is only good this month. You need to call the company that over 200,000 families have trusted with their home. Window Nation. Call 866-90-NATION or go online at windownation.com. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
You by Sumner One.
I want to rock. I need my end roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
I don't know. I'm thinking about the conversation we were just having. I apologize. Because I do have, before you do that.
Yes.
Because we were talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, right?
Yeah.
This can only go bad.
AKA Trailer.
Trailer, okay. Yeah, that's Swifty and
Travis and Taylor.
There you
Trailer.
go. I think the reason why I'm so bothered, and maybe it's not a hoax anymore, maybe it's a real thing, when they do break up, because we all know that eventually will happen, because that's what
No, it won't.
famous people do, right? They eventually go in their separate
Not Clint
directions.
Eastwood?
Most of them.
Okay.
Most of them. Who gets the brunt of the blame for this breakup when it happens?
He does.
Exactly. It's risk versus reward. Now,
Taylor Swift has never broken up with a guy.
Never.
That we know of. I know she has broken up with a guy.
She's
Matt
broken
Healy,
up with all of them, didn't she?
Matt Healy from 1975, who she was rumored to be dating. She
She's
supposedly
like 30
broke
years
up with
old.
him.
She could have been dating then.
He's 75.
No, that's the name of the band.
Oh.
It's called the 1975.
I just
never mind.
My man Travis is gonna, he's gonna go through the fire, man.
Yeah,
I think
and
he'll
then his
be
career is
fine.
He's going to be on the tail end of his career at that point. He's not going to be playing at an elite level.
Terry, have you seen
this.
all the advertisements he's been doing?
Yeah.
And his podcast is exploding. More
wonderful.
people are buying his jerseys. He is making
money
bank
hand
right
over
now.
fist, I'm sure.
Date Harry Styles ever?
Yes,
What
because
was
that
the,
was her song "Style" is supposedly about him,
so
which makes
he's
sense.
doing
What was the
fine,
other
isn't
one?
he?
What was the other? What's the most famous one that she
The
dated?
most famous one?
Tears on My Guitar.
What was the guy? The
Jake Gyllenhaal.
No.
John Mayer. Is
John
that who you're
Mayer,
thinking
yeah.
about?
I
That
was gonna say
wasn't not
Maroon
her
5,
most
but that's
famous
not- that's
one,
not them.
but yeah.
I have no
Calvin
clue about
Harris
any of
was the
these
controversial
bands.
one.
See here, yeah.
Calvin Harris was a big one.
The hell is Calvin Harris?
And that guy another actor, Tom something.
John Mayer is not the most famous one?
Hanks.
There's a lot of other famous. Not Tom Hanks. He's married to Rita Hayworth.
Chet
or not
Hanks.
Rita Hayworth. What am I talking about? That's a throwback. That was a throwback. I'm sorry. I do love Rita Hayworth,
Okay.
but that's not who he's married to.
So anyway, this is a great topic, but I also need you to know that the Eagles have been brilliant. Okay, so they had they said they were never going to tour again, and they would tour when Hell Froze over. Then they did the Hell Freezes Over tour.
Okay.
Then they did Farewell Tour 1 because they knew they were going to do Farewell Tour 1. They did Farewell Tour 2, and now they're doing the Long Goodbye Final Tour. The Eagles are, and we're giving away tickets for this. And they've all been fabulous. The Eagles are awesome in concert, and they've got special guest Steely Dan February 6th at Enterprise Center. Don't miss the tour. Tickets go on sale Friday at 10. Find all the ticket details and a bonus chance to win free tickets for the show right now at either 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app. I got to get tickets for this. If you're listening and you have access to tickets, I need 2.
It's Hiddleston.
the
That's who it is.
Tom Hiddleston.
Yes.
Okay.
And then Rita Wilson. I don't know why I said Hayworth, but
I don't know.
So how are
famous
we going
actress.
to give these tickets away, Matthew?
Oh, man, Tom Hiddleston would have been. They would have made beautiful children. I love Tom Hiddleston. We have a trivia question for everybody because I didn't add it to the fight today. I thought I'd come back around and add it here for people to win the Eagles tickets. So this is going to be texter number 20 to win these
I thought
tickets.
you had a different texture number before. I thought you were doing 35.
I want to do 20 instead. I changed my mind.
Okay.
Because it works better.
Okay.
Okay.
The last time that the Blues had 2 skaters both score hat tricks in the same game was in 1986. One of them was Doug Gilmour. Who was the other skater who scored a hat trick in that game? The last time before this weekend the Blues had a pair of skaters score hat tricks in the same game was in 1986. Doug Gilmour scored one of the hat tricks. Who scored the other hat trick for the St. Louis Blues? Texture number 20 wins those tickets to the Eagles and Steely Dan.
All right. I hope somebody gets it quickly because I've got a fun trivia question.
What you got?
After we get the answer. Well, it's a trivia note for you.
Oh, okay. Is it about second place MVP awards?
No, Mike Liu finished second in the MVP voting in 80-81 for the Blues. That's,
I have a note. I have a note, by the way. I told you
beat him
guys
in 80-81, by the way. In 1980, okay, NHL 80-81. Who would have beat somebody?
Wayne Gretzky.
There you go. I finished.
I don't even need to know.
Good job, brother.
I threw out what I thought was the first ever pairing. By the way, they were asking for the question from the second. The first ever pairing to score hat tricks for the Blues was not Larry Patey and Tony Curry. Dave Barr and Kevin
LaValle?
LaValle?
Yeah.
Dave Barr and Kevin LaValle in 1984 were the first one ever. But to win the tickets, you got to know who was the pairing from the second time they ever did it. Doug Gilmore and who else?
We also, in 1995, Rams training camp had a quarterback from Cal named Dave Barr. How about that? So you got multiple Dave Bars. I wonder if the Cardinals have ever had a Dave Barr on their roster.
Something I saw over the weekend that I brought up to Randy before the show that I just wanted to kind of relay. Our good friend Frank Cusimano, during the Mizzou game, tweeted out that Mizzou was the most compelling sports television in the region this year. And let's just say that there's a certain fan of a certain sport who was not very happy with Frank's assessment there. And there were a lot of people in his mention saying, what about City? Shouldn't St. Louis City be the most compelling thing on sports television this year? And honestly, I was just going to leave it at that. But then the absolute best part happened. Frank then responded to people, turned around, and he did his entire Sports Plus last night as a soccer special. Talked about the Steamers, Terry Mickler at CBC, all these incredible stories. His first response on Twitter, that's just way too much soccer talk for me. The second one, I'm sorry, but isn't this a Mizzou town? You can't win. You can't win.
Please. This is why you should go about your day and not care about what people have to say. Because you will never please everyone. And if that is your goal in life, you are going to fail every single day trying to please everyone. Make sure you're happy. This is some free advice here. I'm not a counselor, but I've been to one. I've seen one on TV. You go about your day, live the right way. You'll never please everybody, not even in your own house. How the hell are you going to please everybody outside of it? So go about your day, man. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Don't stress out. Stress kills.
Exactly.
Live your best life.
And if somebody says Rita Hayworth instead of Rita Wilson, doesn't mean I'm off my game or anything like that. It's fine. No, I'm kidding.
You know some old school. I mean,
I loved Rita Hayworth. I think she's beautiful. There's like some old icons, Sophia Loren, Rita Hayworth, that are just like some of the most beautiful women ever and great actresses, all that different kind of stuff. So
Brooke, I just think this is a case of people not maybe knowing who you are. They didn't know that you watch Shawshank Redemption every Sunday night. And so it's just fresh in the brain. You're sitting there and you're thinking, wow, how about that poster? And it's just right in the brain there on Sunday night. That's not your fault. It's a great movie. Don't feel bad about that one.
No. But yes, to your point, CD, I think that sometimes too that people don't understand on social media the tone of things is different. And so then you project your own thoughts of what you think that person is saying on social media and you react to that when that might not be the case. I don't think Frank meant that as a slight at anybody, including City SC.
I think it was his opinion.
Yeah.
Therefore, my opinion is of my own.
But I think some people were overreacting to it a little bit.
It would be like on Twitter.
I know, right?
It's
crazy.
It's the exact same reaction when like the Cardinals would be in like the fourth week of the season, and Blues fans would be like, "Why aren't you talking more about the end of the Blues season or the Blues playoffs?" It's the same thing here. College football, soccer, like they're like. Come on now, just be realistic. Right. But again, you can't please everybody. Nice try, Frank. But oh well.
Good try.
I watched it was good.
Hey, you can watch the whole day here on 101 ESPN on our Air Alliance Team Studio Cam. Just go to YouTube and type in 101 ESPN STL, and please subscribe to the channel too. We'd love to have you be part of Opening Drive Nation. Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer Matthew Rocchio.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun?
I did.
How about that?
How about that? CD.
Show us your face. We want to see your face. Who said that? You want to see my face?
We have a balloon party coming up with T-Mac and Ajax, and then BK and Ferrario. I think BK might be out today, right? I think our buddy...
is he out?
Yeah, I think Bradford Bruns is going to be joining that show today, if I'm not mistaken.
Bradford.
He's awesome.
He's
great.
amazing.
He really is.
Such a hard worker.
And then you've got the Fast Lane coming up between 2 and 6. Sometimes people leave at 4, but not on a hockey day.
Wow.
What does it happen? Does that not happen?
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a great day, St. Louis.
And now for something completely different.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. As you know, this year I picked up a new hobby, one that I know will last a lifetime, and that is golfing. And I'm being taught at the best spot in town, that is Family Golf and Learning Center. While it's getting colder outside, that's not stopping me from getting some practice in. Family Golf and Learning Center is St. Louis's warmest driving range all